Ah. Uh, 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 Me and the wife are sick. Both of us are sick. Both of us are dead. Just dead. And I think you guys can hear it in my voice. So, y'all pray for me. Pray for this live. Let's get this out to the people. Smash the likes. We'll get through this. Only came for the time, and now I'm leaving. See ya, bro. I don't blame you. Let's do a quick prayer. Lord, guide this live. Allow your spirit to run through us. Don't let us speak out in ways that we shouldn't. Give us opportunity to share the gospel. Allow it to be fruitful and reach the people that it needs to reach. Correct us for wrong, Lord. Help us be better servants for you. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. I am so sick. Today's topic, as always, why should I be a Muslim? Why should I be atheist? Convince me, win a taco. Link in the chat. If I scream at you, it's the devil's fault. It's not my fault. It's my flesh. It's not my spirit, for it's the sin in me that comes out. Unblock me on Jerkmate? No, you took it too far, bro. You took it too far. It was casual, it was nice, and you just took it a step too far. So I cannot unblock you on Jerkmate. I'm sorry. Bert is great. Smash like, smash. Oh my God, y'all pray for me, my wife. That deep voice, I got that raspy voice going on. I got that raspy voice. How's everything looking? Is everything looking good? Smooth? I spent so long trying to get everything lined up and set perfect. I thought I was going to be able to be live on Rumble tonight. No, still got a few more days, I guess. I had to delete my old account. That was the issue. Starting a new one. You made popcorn?
Yeah.
But I don't want popcorn.
So?
But you made popcorn.
I want popcorn.
But if you have popcorn and it's next to me, I'm going to eat the popcorn.
Then you should practice some self-control.
But I don't have self-control. It says flee. You literally put it right in front of me.
Put my blanket on.
Oh my God. Flee temptation. That's what it says.
Start running.
I can't. I'm live. I can't run. Already plugged in. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Would you?
What?
Back there. Listen, if you're gonna go in the queue, don't run. Big John, I'm struggling with this question. What's your question, bro? What's your question? What's up, modern atheism? Did I gym? I went to work today, if that's what you mean, and I work at a gym. You get this away from me. I'm on a diet. Have some hot tea? Yeah, sure. I have a Sprite. Same difference. No difference between the two, right? If you guys want to join the conversation, you click the link pinned in my chat, or you can click the multi-guest link on TikTok, one of those two places. Both are fine. Tape my mouth, that way you don't have to eat popcorn, but then I can't talk, and that's literally the only reason you guys tune in is to hear me talk. It's not for my stunning good looks. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
I'm 18.
What's up, bro?
I'm not an atheist or a Muslim or
What's up,
any of that.
Shannon?
I just have a question. I need to figure out how to grow my faith stronger, and I've been struggling with it, man. I don't know what to do.
Pray more. Actually do the works Jesus said.
All right. Sorry about me coming up, man.
Oh,
I know
you're good.
it's really difficult.
That's literally what it is. Just pray more and do the works Jesus said.
All right. Is there any good places to start in the Bible for motivation?
Jesus died for you.
Did you hear that? The gospel.
Yep. All right. The whole Bible then. You have a good one, man.
All right, bro. Appreciate you. It's not nothing on that guy. I don't know how to answer those questions. It's not how I'm. It's not my thing. Not all my not my thing. Somebody left a comment on my video the other day. John, I felt like you could have been more loving and more approaching instead of giving logical answers. I said, that's not me. Go to your pastor. If you want pastoral advice, go to your pastor. If you don't have a pastor, well, then you got other problems in your life.
You are good at being kind though.
I didn't say
Listening to people's problems.
I didn't say I can't listen to people's problems and not be kind. I said I'm just not good at giving pastoral advice. How dare I use logic? Amen. Hallelujah. I am sick. I am. Pray for my sickness. Logic is haram. What's the saying that it's going? Everybody's been leaving comments on my videos. Well, not everybody, but like a few people. Somebody wrote it. Who wrote it?
What?
It's like I was talking to this Muslim on Wednesday,
Uh-huh.
and he's trying to tell me that Afghan wrote it. He's trying to tell me that somebody wrote the hadith, but it was 200 years. The hadith came 200 years after. So I'm like, how did he write it? He's like, but his name's on it. And so I pretended to write on my book that he likes to kiss boys. And then so it became Afghan wrote it. That was his name. Afghan wrote it. Last live. Yeah, it was last live. Smash the like, share, guys. Let's get out to people. It is Friday. Friday is always the slow night. So we might pick up when people get home from the bar. Oh no, nobody had a death 200 years late. What? The same, yeah, he read the no, it's a different guy. There's some guy said that he read the Quran 1,000 times.
That's what I was just about to talk about.
Was it? You saw that?
Yeah, I thought it was funny. He's like, I read it thousands of times, tens of thousands of times. I was like, no, you haven't.
No.
Liar.
No, he is totally capping. Why do Christians worship a man? I don't know. Why do Muslims worship a man? Will I have another conversation with Alex O'Connor now? Yeah, I'll call him up. We were texting each other earlier, just seeing how each other's day was going. I'm gonna give him a call later, and we'll tape it. What's up, Than? How you doing, bro? If you couldn't tell, I was being sarcastic. Everyone go follow Exploring Reality or follow him on Inspiring Philosophies channel now. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
Hey, brother, how are you?
I'm sorry?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, how old are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How old are you?
I'm in my 30s, bro. Hey, listen, can you just hang on a sec? I might drop down and come back up because the volume is wrong.
Okay. It's not my girlfriend. It's my wife.
Hey.
We're married. I liked it. I put a ring on it. Just finding something to do? Well, you can come up, bro. You're more than welcome to co-host if you want. Because I think my other co-host backed down. Well, he didn't back down. He didn't make any promises, so can't say he backed down. Ugh. I'm gonna be sniffling in the mic all tonight, guys. I'm sorry. I'm really am. No lie. You good now?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you?
Good, man. What's up?
Why should I be a Muslim? Why should I be an atheist? Convince me and I'll win a taco.
Yeah.
I want to win a taco.
Okay.
Yeah. What are your questions?
What do you mean? What do I question?
You were speaking about. Earlier you were saying that the hadith are 200 years after Prophet Muhammad left.
No, I was just telling a story from another guy that has nothing to do with my arguments or my contentions with Islam.
Did you know that Trinity was introduced into Christianity 325 after divinity?
Crazy. Can you prove that?
Can you go into AI, Gemini?
I'm sorry?
Gemini, AI.
I'm not using AI. Did you know there's a study that's shown that 54% of AI answers are incorrect?
Well, like according to Christianity, when was
Bro, you
the
sound
Trinity
you
introduced?
sound like muffled.
When was the Trinity introduced?
The first writing I can find of the Trinity is from Philo of Alexandria, which was about, I think, like, Fan, how early was Philo's writings before the Gospels came out? Anyways, his writing came before the Gospels were written.
And what did he say?
He said that there's the Father, and that there is the second hand of power, which is also who is also called God. And then he says there's the Ancient of Days, who we call Lord. This was the first writing I could find of the Trinity.
Who was the second in power?
We believe that's Jesus.
Like, was it definitive? He said it was Jesus.
No, he didn't say it was Jesus because Jesus hadn't come yet.
Who was the third?
Bro, you keep getting muffled out.
Who was the third one?
The third one's the Holy Spirit.
So we got God, the Holy Spirit, and we were looking for.
It's not God and the Holy Spirit. It's the Father, the Holy Spirit, and the Son, the three that make up God.
So how do you come to the conclusions that it was Jesus when he wasn't around yet?
Because so excuse me. So through the Old Testament, we have the angel of the Lord, which we refer to as that second power. And then in Mark 19 or 14, I forget where it is right now, Jesus, when he was before Caiaphas, literally claims to be that second power. He says, I am that second power. And Caiaphas rips his robes and says he committed blasphemy.
I can't argue on that because I haven't looked into it. It's the first time.
Bro, you got to get your phone fixed. You got notifications coming in. You kind of muffle in and out. It's really difficult to make you out.
Not my phone, man. All right, I'll drop down.
Sorry, bro. Appreciate you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was pre-Jesus though, right, Than? I wasn't mistaken about that. I love having Than in the chat because I could just be like, Than, what am I saying wrong? And he goes, puts down his controller. Fine, John. And then answers me. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
Nicholas or Nico, I'm 36.
Right,
and you?
I'm good, bro. What's up?
How old are you?
I'm running the line. What's up?
You're running low, you said? No, you asked me a question. I'm returning the
yeah,
question. We are getting to know each other, right?
No,
I'm not.
I'm not asking you ASL so I can get your like dating age, bro. I'm asking your age because I only talk to people over 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So to answer your question about why you should be Muslim, do you understand the definition of the word Muslim?
Follower of the one true God.
And also submitting to the one true God.
Yeah.
So
again, should I have to follow the 5 pillars of Islam?
Yes, why not?
Okay, that's my question. Why should I be a person who follows the 5 pillars of Islam? I don't care what your arbitrary definition of Muslim is.
Because the same way when you update your tech every certain year, the same way God provided the Quran as an update based on the previous books.
Fair enough. So I should be a Mormon.
No, because that's not the last message. The last message was the Quran.
No, the Book of Mormon came out in the 1800s. So that's a more recent message. And Joseph Smith, who was a prophet, received the revelation from the angel Gabriel. So Muhammad received the revelation from the angel Gabriel, right? And that was good for a while. And then after a certain, few hundred years or whatever, however long it was, 1,000 years or something like that, Joseph Smith got a new revelation from the angel Gabriel. So if we're going on updates, then I should be a Mormon.
I'm not familiar with this concept or this religion. But again, if we have to use basic logic to compare the prophet that you mentioned before from the Mormon religion and the prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he's more accurate based on
Well,
the
how do you know he's
revelation
more
that he
accurate?
got.
You don't even know anything. You just admitted you don't know anything about this religion. So how do you know he's more accurate?
Because we do not have a big following of the Mormon
Yeah,
religion.
you do. Hold on. Let's just look that up. There are 17.2 million Mormons, and you have to remember their religion started in the 1800s. So 17 million since the 1800s is not bad. It's pretty good. It's good growth. If you give them the same amount of time that Islam has had, it'd probably be in the billions.
Okay. I can't really comment on that. Like I said, I have to be fair because I do not know about the religion. But in terms of my understanding of Islam, and I used to be a Christian for 20 years, I look at it as a way to help us understand the balance between the variations of revelation that came over time, where God gives us
Okay,
law
so then
and
you should be
wisdom
a
from the
Mormon,
Bible.
because the Book of Mormon
I
was
don't think
literally
I
sent to
should.
correct those things. The Book of Mormon was written to correct the things that the Bible got wrong, and it happened sooner. And angel Gabriel went to a prophet Joseph Smith. So I don't see the difference between the two religions, except Mormonism is sooner.
But
Actually, it
we
might
are
have been the
not talking about
1700s.
sooner. We are talking about the last, right?
Yeah, it was
The
it was the
update.
last
We are
one.
talking about
The last one
first.
was the Book of Mormon.
But Islam came Prophet Muhammad got his revelation 1,400 years ago.
And Joseph Smith got his revelation 100 years ago.
But we don't hear about it.
17.5 million people hear about it. Mormons are literally very common, right? They like pretty much own an entire state. I
But
forget
we
the
have
state it was.
billions of Muslims.
Right, but that took thousands of years to happen. It took 1.5 thousand years to get billions of Muslims. The Mormons have had 100 years, and they have 17 million.
Do they apply the golden rule?
Yeah, they follow the golden rule. So let's do the math. So if they have 17 million, so right, multiply that by what, 15? Because hold on, why didn't that multiply? Well, I go to my calculator. Okay, what was it? They have 17 million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 multiplied by 15. Oh yeah, they would have 2.5 billion Muslims. So they're growing at the exact same rate as Islam is. So if your argument is that, you know, Islam came, it's relatively new, it's the latest edition, and it's growing fast, well, then your argument follows for Mormonism. So if that's your argument for why I should be a Muslim, it logically follows that I should actually be a Mormon.
Okay. Let me just I really cannot comment on Mormonism because I don't even know nothing about this religion, to be honest. So I cannot try to be unfair.
Watch me accidentally convert him to Mormonism.
You?
Yeah, watch me accidentally convert you to Mormonism.
Impossible.
Can you grind what?
To do that, you have to find verses in their book that is better than the Quran, and I don't think that's possible.
So how does one measure if it's better? Is it not subjective? So for example, if I wrote a poem, right, and I give it to my wife, and my wife says, this is the best poem ever written in the world, and I give it to you, and you look at it and you say it's trash, how do we know if it's trash or not trash?
Based on the value that it provides overall to society.
So again, that's subjective.
Well,
how do you measure that?
By law and wisdom. Because
again,
the Quran has law and
you're
wisdom.
answering subjective questions with subjective questions. So you're saying
no, because
you're saying this subjective thing can be answered with a subjective thing.
Okay, do we not need law to function in society? We need laws, right?
Yeah, we need laws, yeah.
Right. So that means by in general, when we live every day, we live following certain laws. Now, the Quran allows us to understand how to use
There's
these
laws in the
laws
Book of
and
Mormon.
apply the wisdom.
There's laws in the Book of Mormon.
Yeah. I'm not saying there isn't. What I'm saying is that I doubt that their law is
That's
gonna
subjective.
be their law and their wisdom
That's
is gonna be
subjective.
better than what's in the Quran.
That's
Yeah,
subjective.
yes,
That's subjective.
I
You're just
agree
saying
with you.
your argument now is that the Quran is better because I like it. That's your argument now. You're saying the reason I should be a Muslim is because you like it. That's not a good enough argument for me.
Processing. I appreciate your intellect, by the way,
Thank you.
and your counter-attacking. Very good. I like smart people. Okay, so for my argument to have weight, I would have to study the book, right? So are you able to bring a verse from their book that weighs as much as a verse in the Quran?
Right, but again, that's subjective. You're asking to weigh subjective things because I'm going to bring it. I'm going to say this is just as good as the Quran, and you're going to say no, it's not. And then how do we figure that out? Hello?
We figure it out by the value it provides.
Again, I'm going to say it provides just as much value. You're going to say it doesn't. So then where do we go from there?
Oh, I know how to answer that. The purpose. By its purpose. That's the answer. Because the Quran has law and wisdom, and it guides you to a specific purpose, which is to get to paradise.
Yeah, so is the Book of Mormon.
Yeah,
It
but
does the
okay,
exact same thing. And the difference is
Yeah, but
of
how
Book of
is it
Mormon.
structured?
The difference is the Book of Mormon guides you to a better paradise because the Book of Mormon tells you how you can actually become God yourself.
Oh, so that is shirk.
Yeah, it's against the Quran.
So again, now you have given me an insight of their belief, which is
Yeah, but you can't
basically-
just reject it because the Quran disagrees with
I'm
it. That's
not.
not evidence.
I'm not rejecting it. All I'm saying is that it doesn't make sense to identify ourselves as God because we did not create ourselves. We don't even decide when we are waking up in the morning.
Yeah, so their
So how
belief
can-
is you all get to become lowercase g gods. You know, God is teaching you how to become a god, and then you get to run your own planet and your own people.
I get that logic based on I get that logic when I read the Quran. For example, the way I look at it is like we are fragments of God. Because in the Bible and in the Quran,
that's all fine. None of this is convincing me of Islam, though.
it gives you a purpose on how to worship, how to act, how to
I
behave.
already have that purpose within Christianity and following Christ. So if it's just seeking purpose, I've already found it. I'm good. I don't need Islam. I don't need the Quran.
Okay. Okay. And so if I ask you a question now, so that means do you see Jesus as your God or a prophet?
Jesus is God.
And how did you get that from the scriptures when he tries to divert from that?
He doesn't try to divert from that.
But we have many scriptures that says
You don't have
where
any
he says
scriptures.
it,
You
no.
don't have a single scripture
From the
where he
Bible?
tries to divert from that. If you bring up John 17:3, I'm gonna yell bingo, just so you know.
Is it not okay? The golden rule is about justice, right? That means
No.
by putting your words,
The golden
It's not
rule. The
about
golden rule
justice.
is not about justice at all. It's opposite justice. The reverse golden rule is about justice. Right? The golden rule is do unto others as you would have do unto yourself. Right? The reverse golden rule is do unto others as has been done to you. That would be like the reverse golden rule. So the golden rule is not about justice because it's about even serving those that have done wrong against you, because your intent isn't to serve them based off how they've served you. Your intent is to serve them based off how you want to be served.
Okay, so from what you just said, I realized that my understanding of the golden rule is not similar to you. My updated understanding of the golden rule is do for others what you'd like them to do for you, expecting nothing in return, vice versa.
Right,
Do
that's
not
not
do
justice.
to others. How is it not justice?
Because justice is when you've done something to me, you get the return back happen to you, and it becomes just, it becomes equal, right? The golden rule states, I do to you despite what you've done to me, right? I don't expect anything in return. It's about giving in abundance. Doesn't matter what the world does around you. So that's not justice. That's charity and grace.
But when we take action to do something good, isn't it derived from our intention?
Yeah.
And God at the end judges based on our intention because he is just. So that means you can have an action that is perceived as bad, but you come from a good intention.
No.
The world
No,
might
if you
judge
do bad things from good intentions, you're still doing bad things.
I'm not okay.
Just
you
like
see,
if
not
you do
bad.
good things from bad intentions, you're still doing good things. So if the only reason I give to charity is to get bigger rewards in heaven, I'm still doing a good thing, and God sees that as a good thing. Doesn't matter if the only reason I'm doing it is to get a reward in heaven. People don't
think you
like that,
understood.
but that is the case.
Do you have kids?
Not yet.
Okay, let me give you an example, maybe a different metaphor so you can understand what I was trying to say. Imagine you have a kid and he's observing as he's growing up his parent cleaning the house. And one day he's a young kid, he decides, oh, let me try to wash the dishes. So he goes from a good intention. And then while washing the dishes, a glass slips and he breaks the glass. So the perceived action maybe look like, if the parents doesn't have wisdom, they might say, oh, they might shout after the kid. Oh, why did you do this? Or you broke a glass or whatever. But he came from a good intention. But he don't have the experience yet to know how to hold properly a wet glass. Does that make him bad? Or does that make the action
Yeah.
of breaking the glass
So
bad?
breaking a glass isn't a bad thing. So it's
But
bad.
that's
It's a bad analogy because breaking a glass isn't a morally wrong thing to do. So here's the thing: if my kid goes into the car with having the good intention to go pick up groceries and runs over my neighbor's dog, yes, they're going to get chastised. 110%, they're going to get chastised. Am I wrong in saying that?
No.
So you're saying the kid is wrong?
Yeah, if my kid goes to get in the car, is like, I'm gonna go get groceries for my parents, and then runs over my neighbor's dog. I don't care what their intention was. They're gonna get in trouble.
It's a dangerous thing to do.
Of course, I agree with you. I
Yeah.
agree with
So
you.
the
But
intention
we are
doesn't matter.
talking
What happened, what they did was wrong, and that's what matters.
No, but where I'm saying the intentions matters is because God, the way he judges us based on the Quran is based on our intentions.
Yeah,
So
but
yes,
you're just telling
the
me what the
action-
Quran says. Again, I haven't been convinced of the Quran. So it doesn't matter to me. Like the Quran could say whatever. It could even be the Quran could tell me a perfect story that is beautiful to the way I love it. And I'm like, wow, this religion sounds amazing. It still doesn't convince me of it being true.
So how do you define what's true and what's not true based on what moral values?
I don't base truth off of moral values.
But you're a Christian, right?
Yeah, but you don't my moral values come from what I already stand to be true. I find truth and looking at probabilities. That's where I find truth. So I look at evidence, I weigh the evidence, I say, what is the probability that this is true or it's false? I say it's most likely to be true. So then I follow that as if it was true.
But you just contradicted your entire belief by saying that because
How
you
did I
never
contradict?
saw the crucifixion of of Jesus, but you believe in it. You never saw your own intelligence, but you believe you're intelligent.
Have you ever
You never
seen?
saw
Have
your
you ever
brain, but you
seen?
believe you have a brain.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I never said I have to see it with my own two eyes. You're straw manning my argument.
You just said that, brother.
No, I didn't.
You literally
didn't.
just said that
No,
you
I-
need to see.
Can I do a money thing?
No.
You literally just said that you need to see the evidence.
I said I look at the evidence. I said I look at the evidence, right? And I analyze the data.
What is looking?
Right, but that doesn't. Okay, so do you, when you look at evidence, do you actually often see the thing? Like, for example, do we have evidence that people went to the moon?
I don't even believe that. So
You
no,
don't think people went to the moon?
I don't believe it at all. That's bro. Come
You
on.
don't think there's a probe driving around on Mars right now?
No.
Okay,
That's
do you believe in
BS, bro.
quantum mechanics?
I'm not sure because I don't even
All right,
know
bro.
if
I
I
appreciate
understand.
your time. I'm gonna move on to the next person. God bless. At this point, there's nothing I can do.
How can you believe they went to the moon when you didn't see it?
Bro literally is making like his own argument and straw manning it. This guy's waiting here a while ago. I didn't get him up. I feel bad, so I'm gonna bring him up now. Hello, bro. How are you?
Oh, hello. Yeah, I tried going on your stream before. I wanted to debate you on the problem of evil. So
Okay.
one issue that I see with Christianity, at least, what most Christians believe, to be God, is an all-powerful, benevolent being. And I see that as a bit of an issue for the faith because
Do you want
if
to
there is
talk to somebody who's like more of an expert on the problem of evil than I am?
who?
Fan, if you're interested, you want to come up and do this? This is more your field than mine. Yeah, come on up, bro. Links pinned in the chat. I didn't mean to cut you off or anything. I apologize.
Oh, no, it's okay. Yeah, if you think somebody could debate the topic better, that's totally fine.
You said 1 second. You ate 3 burgers? Bro, relax. That's crazy. Oh, I see what you're doing. That's mean. Don't do that. Come on, then. You're making it awkward. Oh, okay. You didn't mean it that way? Everybody yell Than in the chat. Start spamming them. Just start for now? What's taking you so long? What? All right. Go ahead, bro. We'll go ahead, and then if he comes up, he can continue off that.
Okay. Well, for those of you who aren't familiar with the problem of evil, it was an argument made by Epicurus that essentially postulates that in a universe where there's an all-powerful, all-good God, that all-powerful, all-good God would have both the power and motivation to prevent evil from existing. So if we assume evil does indeed exist in this universe, which I think we could probably both agree on, that would make the existence of an all-powerful, all-good God in this universe impossible due to the existence of evil.
Well, right off the bat, I think there's like an issue with that. And this isn't like a defeat or the argument. It's just I think if there is no God, then there is no evil. So it's kind of like a contradiction. So if you say that, the evidence of evil disproves God, so it's like we have evil, then there is no God.
Well, it
And if the God doesn't
disproves-
exist, then there is no evil. And so it's kind of like
Well,
this circular
a
thing.
God could exist. The point being made is that an all-good, all-powerful God would not be able to exist. So you could have a god like Zeus, you could have a god like Crom from Conan, gods that aren't all good and may not.
Well,
also
no, I don't
be
think you understood.
all-powerful.
I don't think you understood what I was saying. I think it'd be better if you said more along the lines of the problem of evil or the problem of suffering rather than the problem of evil. Because the problem of suffering can exist in atheistic worldview, but the problem of evil couldn't, I don't think. Anyways, this is Than.
Hi.
Hey, Than, what's going on?
What's up, bro? So it's not, like, are you just running a logical problem of evil here, or Are you
It's
are you
more
saying like are you
it's
saying it's
more
logically
the
impossible, or are you saying like there's probabilistic tension?
well, it's really the you could say it's a logical problem of evil, but I usually rely more on the practical problem, because if we can agree that evil doesn't in fact exist in this universe that we're living in, then there's clearly a practical problem here, where if there is an all good, all powerful God, he would not allow evil to exist in the universe we're living in.
Okay, so you think there is a logical problem, as in, and by evil, right? I'm assuming. Are you a moral, like, do you believe moral facts exist, or is this just going to be like an internal critique kind of a thing where?
Well, it's an internal critique.
Yeah.
So I'm personally a moral anti-realist, but if you're going
Yeah,
to
that's
convince
totally
me,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking so that way we're on the same page, and I'm not going to throw answers at you that's just pointless. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because I totally agree that you can be a moral anti-realist and throw the logical problem of evil at somebody because it's an internal critique. I just want to understand what you're really trying to get at, because if you're saying that there is a logical impossibility, I'm gonna need some like more motivation here. That's it at the end of the day, because it seems like you're not going to really be able to get this argument off the ground without making some sort of value assumptions. You know
No,
what I'm
I
saying?
don't. So again, it's an internal critique. So whether you agree with, so I'm assuming you're a moral realist. You believe like there are real moral claims that are made by God. If you're going to convince me of that position, you're going to have to prove that your own moral views are internally consistent. So if you're going to say you believe in an all good, all powerful God, but we live in a universe where evil exists, I see that as a clear contradiction. So either your
Yeah,
God is not all
what
good,
like
not all
what's
powerful, or
yeah,
does not exist at all.
yeah, I'm familiar with the argument. I'm just what's the contradiction? Like, where's the A and not A?
Well, the contradiction is you're claiming there is an all powerful, all good God. Assuming God is powerful enough to destroy evil and is all good, so has a motivation to not allow evil to exist, then in a universe that we live in where evil exists, that would prove like one of three possibilities. Either God does not exist at all, God does exist, but he's not all powerful, but he is all good, or he's all good, but not all powerful.
I think the problem is
Yeah.
you're presupposing that God would not allow for some sort of evil, that he has to have it either necessary
That
or
would be
complete. Yeah. That's
yeah,
the
that would be
presupposition that you're making.
that would be presupposed if he's all good.
Why? Like, what I'm not understanding is the motivation in this sentence that you're saying, which is God would lack any motivations to allow evil and suffering. Like, why should I believe that?
Why would you believe an all good God would allow evil?
Why would I believe an all good God would not allow evil and suffering, or have any justified reasons for allowing suffering and evil?
Well, because he's all good. So if you're all good, all
well, that's a
loving,
circular
benevolent,
argument. An all good God would not have motivations for allowing suffering, evil because he's all good.
that's not a circular argument. That's just analytical. That's a
not
clear
true.
analytical assumption.
Yeah, so
that would be analytically linked.
Yeah, so within metaethics, we have like this problem of like the myth of shared axiology, for instance. Axiology is just like the study of value theory. And in this discussion, we cannot have these discussions without discussions about value theory and assumptions about value theory. So what's going on is you might have a particular value theory in your head and conjoining that to theism and then making a prediction about what kind of world you'd expect to see if there was an all good God. But if it's truly an internal critique, you're going to have to adopt the value theory that the Christian's going to hold to, not the one that you hold to. Right?
So in your value theory, you believe an all good God would allow for mass genocides of millions of people. He would allow for millions of children to be horribly abused in sexual ways.
I'll just pause you real quick, because I'm also live on TikTok. Just be careful of like certain words that you use. If you don't
I'll
mind.
respect that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so I didn't tell you anything about my value theory. I just told you that you're going to have to motivate your argument a little bit more than just saying good entails no suffering,
Well,
right? Because look, do you want me to call you vegan?
we're not talking about
What do you want me
suffering
to call you?
specifically. We're talking about evil. So,
Wait,
you,
what do you
I'm
want me
just
to call you? Do
asking
you want me to call
you.
you vegan or what?
You can call me Vegan Gains. Like, my actual
Okay.
name's Richard. You can just call me that, if whatever you prefer.
Cool.
But let me just ask you. So, in your own theological theory, you think an all good God would allow for millions of people to be genocided? So, like,
This isn't actually a theological question at this point, right?
you just
My value
said
theory stands independent of my theology, right?
So you just said if I'm going to have an internal critique, I have to have an understanding of your own values or what you believe God to be. So I'm just asking you a question so I can understand. Would
Yeah,
an
I'm
all
just
good
clarifying
God
because you
allow
said
for
because
millions of people to be genocided in a like horrible way where there's gas chambers, people are starved to death, there's horrible inhumane
look,
experiments
yeah,
conducted
I'm
against them?
hearing, dude. I'm hearing you. I'm just making a correction, right? Because you said in your theological theory, I'm just correcting you. I'm saying this isn't a
I'd like you to
theological.
just answer the question. Would an all good
Yeah, of
God
course.
allow for this to happen?
Yeah, I think an all good God would allow for these things because I think all of these instances are not intrinsically instances that make it such that an agent would be cut off from having a life that is on the whole good in this life or the next life. Like, I think all of these instances of horrific suffering that we see in this world are the types of suffering that a perfect God can redeem, and types of suffering that an agent, no matter how horrific, can look back on their life, including in the afterlife, and say, my life was still, even in spite of that, worth living.
Okay, you realize there are people who literally only live for like several days or several
That
months,
is
and they're
totally
important
consistent with what
because
I
they're
just said.
built like they're made without skin.
That is totally consistent with what I just said.
Okay, so this idea of redemption, I mean, in theory, you could have a situation where somebody suffers horribly during their life, and then God makes up for that by giving you like infinite paradise.
Nope. This is not about compensation.
Well, you just said redemption.
Yeah, but redemption doesn't
That
equal
would
compensation. I'm just
the
clarifying.
context in which you said it insinuated compensation.
I didn't mean to make that insinuation, so this is my clarification. It's not about compensation. This is again about, if you look into the psychology of meaning making and trauma, for instance, we have this psychology of meaning making where, and you can look like we talk about, look at Viktor Frankl and all these other people, where people can look back on the most horrific aspects of their lives and still deem their lives worthy and worth living.
Well, sure.
And most of the
I'm
time, and if you let me finish, and a lot of these times, these people will look back on their lives and choose not to erase their memories or anything like that. They'll say, like, I wouldn't want to go through that again. But these are all also like, they tend to be memories that these people treasure because they've kind of cultivated themselves into this identity that they have now. And all I'm saying is, so long as an evil or any aspect of suffering is an event that does not make it impossible for an agent to have a life that they consider on the whole worth living, I think God is justified in allowing that suffering.
Well, that's a completely different topic, whether or not people think their life is worth living despite going through evil or suffering. That could very well be the case, that everyone who's ever suffered or experienced evil or committed evil thinks their life is worth living. The issue is whether or not an all-powerful, benevolent being would allow for that evil or suffering to take place.
If my value theory is true, which I think it is, then a God would allow for that type of suffering. There's no internal inconsistency here.
So does an all good God have an interest in a universe that's better than a theoretical universe where there's infinite horrible suffering that never ends?
Infinite horrible suffering that never ends?
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to depend on your value theory.
Well, I'm asking you, would a benevolent God create a universe where there's infinite unending suffering?
I don't know if that I even have to answer that question yet unless you're like ready to move on and say like the logical problem doesn't work here.
I'm not moving on. I'm trying to understand like you're making the case that an all-powerful benevolent God would allow for suffering.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to see
I know.
like,
I just
how
gave you
much
one. I
suffering.
just gave you one proposition within my value theory that shows that there's no logical contradiction. I didn't give you a
Well, you
theodicy.
didn't.
I didn't give you a
And we're
theodicy which
exploring
predicts
that.
what kind of world you'd see on the condition theism is true, right? I just
Look,
showed you there's no logical inconsistency. Now we can
you
talk
didn't.
about theodicy if you want to,
Well,
but
you
I'm not going to
didn't,
do
and
that
we're
until
exploring
you're
that
ready to move
topic still.
on from the logical problem,
You
right?
didn't prove that there's no contradiction, and we're still exploring that topic.
Okay, so I gave you what I gave you my one aspect of my value
am I
theory.
able to answer questions and have you answer?
I have been answering them. I'm just
Well, no,
relaying
you
where we're
haven't.
at dialectically really quick, which is I gave you my value theory. So can you show me a contradiction between like that one proposition of my value theory and
We're exploring
theism?
that right now.
Okay, go ahead.
So that's why I'm asking you this question. So would an all-powerful benevolent being not want a universe that has infinite unending suffering?
No, not on my theodicy, no.
So God has no interest in creating a universe where there is not infinite unending suffering.
No, given my value theory that I gave you, the defeat condition, that would be in
Okay.
direct contradiction, right, with never-ending suffering, because people would never have redemption, right?
Okay, so an all-powerful benevolent being is totally fine with unending suffering. So if that's
No,
the
no,
case,
you
if that's
misunderstood
I
what
just said
you
no.
misunderstood what he said. So
sorry,
wait,
so
so
God does have a problem with it.
no. So his worldview is that eventually all suffering is defeated. So if you introduce a world where there's never-ending suffering, that contradicts his worldview. So he rejects that.
Okay, so a benevolent God would have an interest in not allowing infinite unending suffering.
Mhm.
Okay, so would a benevolent God have an interest in creating a world that is better than a world where, say, people suffer for 100 years? Would he want to minimize that to 99 years?
Oh,
So
yeah,
everyone
we're just
born.
gonna run it. Yeah, what's going to happen there is we're shifting from logical problem to probabilistic issues now, just so you know. And you're going to run
Well,
into this
it's not a
arbitrariness.
probabilistic issue. I'm just asking you,
Yeah,
does a benevolent
trust me,
God
we're going to
have an
shift there.
interest in
I've done
lowering
this long enough
suffering?
to know that we're going to shift there. But nonetheless, we're going to run into an arbitrariness problem at that point.
It's not arbitrary.
It's a second. Would God want 1 second or less second? And this is where in my natural theology, I'm going to say God doesn't really create any specific kind of world. I think God creates initial world segments. So the modal landscape is open. And at that point, then God creates the best kinds of worlds. And the range of suffering that's allowed to happen is going to happen within a particular range. So this defeat condition that I gave you kind of sets the boundary parameters of the type of suffering, the propensity of suffering, all that kind of stuff that you're going to see. From there, I can give you a theodicy, which would tell you what kind of suffering in the structure and the fabric of reality that you expect to see if God exists. But asking this whole 99 years versus 100 years question, again, I don't have an answer to that. I don't have to give you an answer because with my modal strategy that I have with the way I've got like my natural theology, it's an acceptable range, right? Not a unique prediction of how many years or anything like that we're going to run into.
I'm not asking you to predict how much suffering God would be okay with. I'm just asking you whether or not a benevolent being would have an interest in reducing everybody's suffering from 100 years to 99 years or 98 years or 50 years or 1 year.
Yeah,
Would he be interested in reducing suffering?
Yeah, I would just say that's an overly simplistic question because it depends on the context, right? Like, what are the other
I don't think it does.
Because I think what God is going to do and what we think a good God would do is not going to be strictly metanormative. Metaethical in its constraints. I think the way we make theistic prediction is going to happen on a meta-normative account, meaning God's going to make decisions based off of all domains of value, which is like the alethic domains, the aesthetic domains, and the moral domains, or like the true, the good, and the beautiful. And so whether or not God is going to choose 99 years over 100 years I can't really answer that because I don't know the full context of everything. I would just say the answer there is going to be
Okay.
inscrutable.
Okay, so would God say not want the Holocaust to happen? Would he not want children to be abused?
Would he not want child? What do you? Can you like? You're just
Would
asking.
would the
there's
benevolent
also-
God that you believe in, would he had preferred the Holocaust not happen?
But there's also something to kind of, I think you got to clarify too, is because there's a difference between allowing something to happen and having a preference for it to not happen.
Yeah, there's a difference between permitting something and not desiring something.
Well, sure, and if you were all powerful and benevolent, you would not permit certainly
No,
horrible
you're
actions.
smuggling in your value theory again.
Okay,
I
if
think God is
you
going to permit things that are intrinsically defeasible, right?
what does that mean?
The whole an event that is such that makes it that does not make it the case that an agent can't look back on their whole life in this life or the next life and still think their life is worth living.
That's a separate issue to whether or not a benevolent God would have an interest in stopping evil.
You made a very specific claim. You said that they would not allow that thing in these types of events. And I'm saying if this defeat condition is true, which is internal to my worldview, then it's within the boundary conditions of the types of things that are compatible with God's existence.
So, like again, you just talked about how if somebody went through some horrible tragedy like the Holocaust, they could look back on their life and still think their life was worth living.
Mhm.
That is entirely separate from the subject of whether or not a benevolent being would allow that to happen.
No, it's not.
It is. Those are two completely different topics.
Explain to me how they're different topics.
Yeah, so one is one's personal perspective on whether or not they would still want to live despite living through a situation like that, versus whether or not a benevolent being would have an interest in stopping that to begin with.
And you don't
that
see the
evil
connection
action.
between that subjective mental state that I'm
There's
talking about
no
and whether or
connection.
not God is going to allow that suffering and whether or not he'd be justified in allowing that suffering?
No, there's no connection there. They're completely
Yeah, okay. Let me make
separate.
the connection really explicit. Because I'm assuming you're operating on a value assumption that the only type of suffering God would allow is suffering that is necessary for some greater good or something like that. I don't know. And I'm denying that. And I'm saying, no, God is justified in allowing suffering that is defeasible or events that creatures can still look back on and retroactively endorse.
Okay, so a benevolent being, this God that you believe in, that you assume to be benevolent, he doesn't even have an interest in allowing evil to allow for a greater good to occur. It's just based on the
Nope,
assumption
I
that
never said that. I did not give you a theodicy yet.
you didn't you literally just say these evils can occur without
Yeah,
a greater
that's not a
good being created?
theodicy, though. A theodicy is going to tell you what kind of world you're going to predict or expect to see if God exists. I gave you one proposition, which is a mediating proposition in how we assess our hypotheses, but that's not going to predict the world that we're going to see, right? Like the defeat condition could be true and we could just be in a pure heaven type world. Yeah? Like with no suffering or pain?
Sure, and I'm very confused why a God wouldn't just create that sort of world if he's benevolent and all-powerful.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's going outside of the logical problem of evil. Graham Oppie has written on that question you're asking. He's an atheist philosopher, and it's called The Problem of Heaven. But that's a different question than the logical problem of evil.
That is
John, I'm not trying to
directly
hijack
tied.
your stream, by the way. So just
No,
Oh,
I'm loving this. You go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's clearly the issue, because if we're assuming like evil
So
wouldn't
are you
exist in
conceding that-
heaven,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
if we're assuming like evil would not exist in heaven, and God is benevolent, why would he allow evil to exist when he could have like some perfect divine realm where everyone lives in peace
Yeah.
and harmony with
That's a
evil?
great question, and I'm willing to talk about that. But you came in here to talk about the logical problem of evil. If you're happy to put that aside or say
that's
there's
directly
no
related.
contradiction, if you're saying there's no contradiction, we can
There's
move on.
clearly a contradiction since evil exists.
Also, just like a side note on that, I don't know what Than's going to say to this, but me personally, I do hold that there is the possibility of evil in heaven. That's my personal viewpoint. So
Okay.
But you go ahead, Than.
No, see, these are two different questions, though, Vegan. The problem of heaven is, why didn't God create heaven in the first place instead of creating a world like this? But it's not really pointing to a contradiction. The problem
That
of
is-
evil, as you've put it, is trying to tie an inherent logical inconsistency between the proposition that God exists and the proposition that evil exists.
No, it's the proposition that an all good, all powerful God exists.
Yeah,
and
when I say the word
evil, so-
God, when I say the word God, contained within that word is those triomny attributes.
Well, so first of all, you can have a God that's not all good or
I
not
understand
all
that, but
powerful.
obviously within the context we're in, it should be assumed that that's what I'm talking about is perfect being theism.
I think, just to make things as clear as possible, you should mention those attributes, because people are going to get
I don't have to
very
do this when I'm
confused.
talking to professional philosophers. I don't know why I have to do that with you, but
Okay,
it's-
well, I just prefer that, because it can make the discussion confusing, especially for like some viewers. But regardless, if that's what you mean whenever you invoke God, but again, if we're assuming God to be all powerful and all benevolent, like if you're going to say that an all powerful benevolent deity would allow for mass genocides where millions and millions of people are killed, lives are destroyed, people are tortured in the most horrific ways. Like to this day, I don't know how many child abusers there are, but it's probably in the
it's
millions.
horrible. I know.
And you're telling me that a benevolent deity who has the power to stop it would have no interest in intervening, at least not directly.
I never said that.
It sounds to me like you're talking about a completely
hold on.
different
No.
conceptualization of being all good.
You're jumping the gun now from divine justification and divine prediction to divine psychology. I never made claims about what God would be motivated to do or not motivated to do, because again, I haven't given you any theodicy. All I've done so far is talk about one axiological proposition that mediates between the proposition God exists and the proposition that evil and suffering exists, and showed that this mediating proposition does not generate a contradiction between those two other ones.
Okay, would a benevolent
Does that make sense
deity...
what I just said to you? Like, can you
No,
echo
not
that back to me?
particularly. No, not particularly.
Can you like make just for the sake, just because it seems like the two of you are talking past each other, can you make the attempt to try to steelman his argument?
Well, no, look, let me just rephrase this. That's all. So all I'm saying is, because for you, or what you're saying is, there's this proposition, you have this triomny God, and another proposition, evil and suffering exists. You're saying that because of what a triomny God is, all good, all loving, all powerful, that it would be logically impossible for evil to exist. And I'm saying that is only going to be true if you assume a value theory that makes it the case that a triomny God would not be justified or have any reasons for allowing that suffering. Like, those are the two things you got to defend. If I can show you that God can be justified in allowing the suffering independent of any divine reasons for allowing that suffering, I don't have a contradiction on my hands. And this is why philosophers
That would be...
and this is why philosophers
okay,
have
that
moved
would be
on from the
your...
logical problem of evil since the 80s and have instead opted for probabilistic versions like William Rose Fawn, for instance, or there's so many others, but you get the point.
Yeah, so that would be up to you to actually point that out, because that would be assumed an all good, all powerful deity would stop horrible acts of evil like
Why would it be
abuse of
assumed?
children.
Why would it be assumed?
Because he's all good.
So-
If
so-
you were all good, you would not
But
allow evil
that's
to
the whole
exist.
point. That's the whole point, Richard.
It seems like, Richard, that what you're doing is it's just like an intuition pump. It seems intuitively true that something should step in and do it. What Than is making the argument against is that there is no logical contradiction in a being not stepping in.
Well,
and
there
preventing
clearly
it.
is, and he hasn't proven that there isn't.
No, I have, because again,
if he's going to claim there's a justification for an all good being to allow for evil, then make the argument.
Can you? Okay, so because I just feel like you guys have gone in circles. So that's the only reason I'm jumping in.
yeah. Can I just
so-
say one
Sure,
thing?
yeah,
really quick?
I appreciate that.
I just want
Yeah.
Vegan, if you don't mind, can you give the contradictions in premises and a conclusion?
Yeah. Okay. So premise one, if God is all good and all powerful, he would have the ability to and motivation to not allow evil to exist. Premise two, evil does exist. Premise three, therefore, God would not have, well, that would be the conclusion.
Okay.
God is either not able to stop evil, or he is not all good, or a combination of the two.
Okay. And then I'm assuming you're disagreeing with premise one.
No, I'm just gonna. Did we restate?
That would have to be a
restate
disagreement with premise
again?
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Premise one is if God is all powerful and all good, he would have both the motivation and power to stop all evil. So you would have to be disagreeing with premise one, because premise two is evil exists, and I think you agree with that.
Yeah, no. Well, it depends on how you cash out premise one in like with the nuance, because I can technically agree with it and just say that the argument doesn't actually follow, depending on what you mean by premise one.
How does it
But
not
you can
follow?
also, because again, given my axiology, God can have the motivation and the power to stop all evil and suffering, and he does eventually. But if but if what you mean by those words in premise one is that you mean like all suffering and evil immediately in like a chronological sequence, then I would deny it.
Yeah, I like, again, if he's all good, all powerful, he'd be able to stop all evil immediately. So if
Yeah,
he
but
is
you also
all
included
good,
this motivation question in there, yeah.
So I think your premise one should be like rephrased to he would have never allowed it in the first place rather than stopping
we
it.
we can do that.
Okay.
Well, it's an important nuance, right?
Yeah, sure, I understand. So premise one would be if God is all powerful and benevolent, he would never allow for evil to exist. Premise two, evil exists, therefore God is either not all powerful or not all good, or a combination of the two.
Yeah, and like I'm saying, I think just given the defeat condition that I've lined out, right, there is no contradiction. You have to assume a different value theory than I do in this argument to make it work. But the moment you do that, it's no longer a logical problem, because you have to adopt my whole worldview when you do a logical problem like that.
Well, look, if you're going to claim an all-powerful benevolent being would allow for thousands and thousands of years of human existence, you're talking about a time period of 200,000. That's also not taking into account,
Animal
the millions of
suffering,
years that
evolution.
animals.
Yep, I
So,
agree.
Yeah,
so this is more now the evidential problem rather than the logical problem.
Yeah. So if you're going to tell me that a benevolent being would allow animals to murder, kill, sexually abuse each other over a period of millions of years, allowed for hundreds of thousands of years of human evolution where we're committing tribal genocides, horrible atrocities,
Mhm.
allowing for strange cults and religions that allowed for child sacrifices, really disgusting sex rituals, so on and so forth. And going into the modern world where we have the technology to perpetrate horrific holocausts of human beings where millions and millions of people are killed. We have the internet now where there are networks of child abusers where millions of them interact and share their abuse with children. And you're telling me a benevolent being would not be motivated enough to, like, at least to some substantial extent, stop at least some of these horrific atrocities. Like, I can understand him maybe allowing some people who had a disagreement to trade fisticuffs and rosy some cheeks. But when you're talking about horrible atrocities that have occurred over millions and millions of years, where there's horrible, horrific suffering conducted, it sounds to me like if you're claiming there's no contradiction here between that and an all-powerful benevolent being, it sounds to me like you have a completely different conceptualization of what evil is and what benevolence is.
Can
No,
I
I
ask
like
you
I
a
said,
quick question,
go ahead,
Then? Is
John,
that
yeah.
okay? Yeah, if you have someone
Bro.
pointing it out. There's like a point that you made, like I can understand a God allowing like rosying some cheeks. Is not the problem of suffering or even the problem of evil.
We're talking about evil specifically.
Right, but
So you could have like they're suffering on different degrees, right?
Sure.
Like
but
when I
that's-
work out, I'm kind of suffering a little bit. Like you can get a really bad burn in your quads. That's not
Yeah, we're
evil.
talking about
That's something
horrific
completely
stuff.
different.
Well, hold on. Let me ask my question. So you said you could allow for like some rosing of cheeks. Isn't the problem of suffering or the problem of evil in general subjective? Isn't that going to vary on the individual person's subjective experience?
Well,
That's where I was gonna go with that, John.
I'm a moral
Sorry.
anti-realist.
Sorry, Thanos, stole your thunder.
No, you're good, bro.
Yeah, so I'm a moral anti-realist. So yeah, I do think this is all ultimately subjective. But if you're gonna try to convince me of some worldview
no.
where there's like an objective moral basis that God creates, and you're
I
claiming
actually-
that this God is benevolent, like I mean, like you could technically. I don't know if you're a moral anti-realist as well, and if God's a moral anti-realist. But
Me?
then that would kind of defeat the idea of there being a benevolent God. It would just be an all-powerful God.
Yeah, so I know I'm a moral realist. I don't ground morality in God. My metaphysics are a little wonky compared to typical Christians, but that's fine. Yeah, let me point something. Let me talk about something here because John poked at something that I really wanted to get to, which is the subjective aspect that you're poking at is the whole entire point of what I'm talking about. Because I think the most important thing when you're talking about the problem of evil is not what happens to an agent, but what that agent becomes and how they can integrate whatever event happens to them into their life and whether or not they can retroactively endorse the life they've lived or not. That's what I think is the most important. And so the subjective aspect of this is the whole entire point. Like you can call these events objectively evil, and I will stand right alongside you. They are horrific. But if an agent can look back on their life in this life or the next, it falls within the boundary conditions. Sorry, I didn't even finish my sentence there. If an agent can look back on those types of events in their life, in this life or the next, and still endorse the life they've lived, those events fall within the boundary conditions of the types of things that God would allow. So that's psychology
Clearly
of
he's
meaning
allowing
making.
it. So clearly he's allowing it. The issue is, why would he be allowing it?
Well, that's a
It
different
doesn't
question.
seem like it's out of benevolence.
That's a different question than whether or not there's a logical contradiction.
Well, yeah, that's a completely separate topic. We can agree he's allowing it, clearly. We live in this world.
Okay,
The issue is, why would a benevolent being allow this?
So
And
now,
just because
now,
you can,
now you're
so
asking
wait,
for the mechanism, correct?
I'm almost done, but I mean, if lost my train of thought. If he's allowing this and assuming he's benevolent, it would stand to reason that if this God is benevolent and all powerful, he could presumably create a better world. Like, would the world be better if there wasn't a Holocaust? Would
What
the
does the
world be
word
better if there
better-
wasn't a war
what
in
does the word
Ukraine? Would the
better
world be better if
mean?
there weren't, people who prey upon children?
Yeah, what does the word
I
better
think
mean?
we could agree.
What does the word better mean?
Yeah, so superior versus another state.
I'm asking you what like the theoretical contents, right? Because when you're saying the word better, I'm assuming you're making a value judgment there. But I'm asking you, what do you mean by that? Because because if it's something that I don't hold to value theory wise, then it doesn't really matter what you think is
So
better.
do you think somebody who abuses children as opposed to not abusing children, would you say the state of not abusing children is better than abusing children?
Yeah. But I also don't judge.
Right. So
I also
then
don't judge
that-
realities by unique tokens of suffering. I judge reality on the whole about what the kind of world
and
we live
as
in,
a
right?
whole, if we could eradicate child predators in some way, either by changing people's minds so they're not attracted to children, locking them up in some different dimension, or not allowing them to exist in the first place, would that world be better than a world that has millions of child abusers?
Oh yeah, and we're going to eventually get that world.
Okay, and if God is all-powerful and benevolent, then why would he allow that to exist if you agree
You're
that
asking me
theoretical
a question.
world would be
You're
better?
asking me a question again that I'm not going to move forward to answering until you concede there's no logical problem.
There's clearly a logical problem.
No, you're
If your
poking
God
at
would
you're poking at
your
a
God agree with
probabilistic
you?
problem.
Would your
What?
God agree with you that a world that does not have child abusers is better than a world that
I
does
mean, look,
have
man,
child
we can play
abusers,
this
all else
rhetorical
held
sleight of
equal?
hand game all you want, but at the end of the day, I want to know whether or not
It's a simple
there's a
question.
contradiction or not.
It's
Okay,
a
what is the
simple.
contradiction? Because the why question is not the same question as a logical consistency question. If I theoretically, if I don't have an answer for why, that still doesn't get you to a contradiction. You're conflating theistic prediction and disconfirmation with theistic contradiction. In other words, you're conflating the idea that there's a logical impossibility with something rather than a probabilistic tension, right?
Yeah,
You're
so
when you ask a why
I can very
question,
easily outline the contradiction. So premise one, if God is all powerful and benevolent, and he would see a world in which there are no predators being superior to a world where there
yeah,
are
I'm going to deny that.
predators.
I'm going to deny that premise right now, again, because I
So
don't
your
agree
God
with your
disagrees
value
with
theory.
you. He thinks this world that has child predators is superior to a world that would not have child predators, all else held equal.
Yeah, because we
So
live in a world.
a
Hold on, let
world
me
with
finish.
child predators is better than a world without child predators, all else held equal. You'd rather child predators exist.
I think a world where redemption, bravery, courage, sacrifice, honor, and all these types of things, where a narrative arc exists, where people can freely choose their actions, is a much better world than a world with autonomous robots or moral robots. I'm going to say that.
So is God a moral robot?
What does that question have to do with what I just said? Because it sounds like you're trying to reframe the conversation right now because you realize you can't actually
No.
force a contradiction right now.
So no, first of all, if you're going to claim that God is all powerful and benevolent, and he would presumably agree that a world with child predators includes evil, and a world without child predators, all else hold equal, contains less evil, and he is not interested in taking away the child predators. That seems to me like a God who is not
Can you just give
benevolent.
me the contradiction?
Yeah, okay, so I'll outline it. Premise one, God, if God is all powerful and benevolent, and there is presumably a world in which child predators do not exist, all else held equal, would be superior to a world where child predators do exist.
That's not
What
a.
is
That's not
P
a.
and not
So,
P?
so
You're
hold
giving
on.
me a deductive argument. Just give
Yeah.
me the P and not P.
So that's not a contradiction. That's a presupposition of what you would expect to see under certain circumstances.
Like you cannot you have two propositions, but those two propositions by themselves do nothing. You have to insert a value theory. You have to make some sort of value judgment assumptions, right? And that's fine. Like if you want to assume some sort of hedonistic worldview where pleasure is the ultimate good and pain should be like avoided at all costs, fine. The conjunction of hedonism, theism, and suffering, there's a contradiction.
So
Okay,
what,
I think
what,
I think I'm seeing a bit of an issue here, and I think I can outline it. So you're telling me that if we weren't, say, free acting moral agents where we could commit evil, that wouldn't allow for things like bravery, honor, because everyone would just be, I don't know, acting perfect, and we might not be able to conceptualize, courageous acts, heroism, honor. So by that definition, would a world that has child predators, like would that be a good thing then? Like
No,
people
that's a
committing evil
conflation
would
again.
therefore be a good because it allows for
No,
a greater degree
you're
of good to happen?
making an ontological mistake here because again, there's a difference between intrinsic value and instrumental value, right? Intrinsic value is going to be the value of the thing itself. Instrumental value is not going to be a judgment of a thing's value in of itself, but rather it's like placed in a narrative structure of a particular context, right? So like pain, I would say could be theoretically intrinsically disvaluable, but it could be instrumentally valuable in the sense that it helps people grow, encourage, and toughness, and blah 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 blah. But you can't conflate the two.
Okay. Trying to progress the discussion on from here.
I think, and just to clarify, so from my understanding, and you seem to be holding pretty hard to that there is some logical contradiction. I haven't seen one, but where you keep trying to push the conversation is into the evidential. I think to move the conversation forward, it probably is best to bite the bullet and say, I don't see a logical contradiction. Let's go into the probable explanation, say it's less likely that we would expect an all-loving God given the circumstances of the world that we have, which seems to be the argument that you're pushing forward.
Well, I suppose we could do that, but I think we haven't resolved this exactly with the logical contradiction, because you seem to consider that there isn't a logical contradiction between the existence of evil and the existence of an all good,
I don't think there
benevolent
is.
God. So, is God perfect?
Yep.
Would a perfect being create something that's imperfect?
Can you stop asking me
Like-
questions and just give me P and not P?
Okay, sure.
Well, I think
perfect.
you agreed to bite the bullet, move to the evidential, right?
Oh, sure. Okay.
We can do that, but if we're going to agree that a perfect, like, would a perfect being create do something that would make the world worse?
What do you mean by worse?
Okay, so it was the universe perfect with God only in it?
No, I think only God's perfect.
Right.
'Cause,
So if there's
presumably
only
where you're going, look, presumably where you're going from this is, why would a perfect God create an imperfect world, or even create at all? Right. That's in the philosophical literature. You have the problems of general creation and the problem of particular creation. That's the question it's poking at. Yeah, I'm assuming that's where you're going.
yeah. So if God is perfect, the idea that he would make the world worse, if he's the only thing in it, and him being perfect, he's adding imperfection. So why would a perfect being create something or make things worse, objectively speaking?
Are you trying to point to a logical inconsistency here, or
Yeah,
another
there
one?
seems to be a logical inconsistency. So
Okay,
if
where's
something's
the
perfect, it
contradiction?
would be able to make perfection. If something perfect is making imperfection, then that's
Same question, man. Where's P and not P here?
so.
So why can't something perfect make something imperfect? What is the contradiction in that?
Well, if you're talking about a perfect creator, it would be assumed that a perfect creator would only make perfect creations.
Why?
If it's analytically linked, if something is a perfect creator, logically he would not make anything worse.
But why?
I mean,
though?
you're just kind of restating.
Yeah.
You're just kind of restating your argument. What are the theoretical contents? Like, what's the propositional content of a perfect being in an imperfect world, and where is P and not P?
Okay, you know what? Let's just move on to
can I just ask this question as clarifying?
Yeah, sure.
If you had a perfect being that can only make perfect things, would you not say that perfect being is now limited because it cannot make imperfect things?
You could say so.
So then would that not take away from its perfection?
No, not necessarily.
How come?
Well, by nature of it being perfect, it would be limited to only perfection.
But it's limited.
Right.
So are perfect things limited?
Yeah, they can be.
And you don't see any contradiction there?
No.
Okay.
I don't see why that would be a contradiction.
Okay, go ahead, Than.
But why don't, since you brought it up, why don't we talk about the probabilistic concerns? So again, probabilistically, if we have an all good, benevolent, all powerful being that's perfect in every way, would we see a world where there are millions of child predators? What do you think
Yeah,
the probability? It seems incredibly improbable.
Yeah, let's lay out the meta here a little bit, though, because probabilities are going to be inherently relative, right? If you've worked in probability theory before, worked with like Bayesian statistics at all, right? You're going to have a square typically, and that square is going to represent 100% of the probability space. Different hypotheses are going to occupy different portions of the probability space based upon the evidence and our background knowledge. So just putting things on the table here really quickly, without you putting up a competing hypothesis to theism, I don't really have to do much. Like, I could theoretically even just concede that I take a probabilistic hit, but without you putting up a different hypothesis,
I
like,
can
theism's
I
gonna
can
be the most.
create many different hypotheses. They don't even necessarily have to be theist or secular. I would
Yeah, I
say
don't
the
care what you want to do.
probability. Yeah, so I would say the probability of the god Crom existing. So Crom from Conan, he is a god that is loveless. He only cares about strength, and he has imbued humanity with the essence of strength to strive and slay their enemies, to fight whatever battles they need to fight, and he only cares about the strong surviving. I
Wow.
think
Yeah.
that fits that has a higher probability than this idea of there being an all-powerful benevolent god, especially when we take a look at the theory of evolution, survival of the fittest. Those who are best adapted to survive, go on and survive. Humans, through both strength of mind and strength of body, are the dominant species on the planet. The reason we've got here at this point is because we fought, killed, we committed tribal genocide, we've fought the weak, and we won against the weak, and only the strong are here now. I think that fits. There's a higher probability of that theory explaining
So
our
all
world
you've done,
than
all you've done
benevolent
here
beauty.
is front load your hypothesis to predict all the relevant data. In other words, though, what happens then when you do that is you're just transferring the improbability all to the prior probability, right? Because now you have a really, really complex hypothesis, some kind of god with a bunch of arbitrary limits. You've tacked on a bunch of just a bunch of issues, right? So yeah, sure, it could theoretically predict all of the relevant data that you're asking for, but all you've really done is transfer the previous improbability from the posterior to the priors.
Well, the issue, there's issues with it. So we don't have any evidence for Crom, no
Well, hold
clear
on, no,
empirical evidence.
You would call suffering evidence for Crom, because the type of reality we live in is the type of reality you would expect if Crom existed, right? Like, that's the whole point of coming up with this counter hypothesis. Presumably, you wouldn't spend all that time talking about your hypothesis if it didn't actually predict the data, right?
Well, we're talking about what's probabilistic given our observations.
And when we're talking about evidence, it's probabilistic.
Yeah. So does Crom fit? Does the Crom hypothesis have a higher probability than the all-powerful benevolent God hypothesis?
I would say no, because again, like I said, you've front-loaded your hypothesis to specifically predict for certain types of suffering and war and stuff like that. But I have no reason to expect tons of other things.
Why? So
right?
Why does a benevolent God have a higher probability than a non-benevolent God who only cares about strength?
Well, like I said, you've just front-loaded everything to your hypothesis and transferred the improbability to the priors. Again, because you don't have a simple hypothesis. Your hypothesis has a bunch of arbitrary limits, and
you're not answering my question. I just asked you simply why.
I have a simpler hypothesis. I have a simpler hypothesis, one that does not lack arbitrary limits. I'm just talking about the priors right now, right? And all I'm saying is, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, are you familiar with what he means when he says priors?
I'm not sure exactly what he means by that, but
yeah, no, that my bad. So when you're dealing with probability, we're dealing with prior probabilities. This is going to be the probability of a hypothesis given our background knowledge before we look at the data that we have in question, right? And have you heard of Bayes' theorem?
No.
Okay. Long story short, it's like a form of probabilistic inferencing that we can do. There's a few different formulations. The relevant one here is going to be called the odds form of Bayes. And the basic idea here is going to be, you're going to have an equation, right? and the prior probability is we're gonna have a likelihood ratio between the prior probabilities. So we're gonna divide the prior probability of my hypothesis over your hypothesis and multiply that by the probability of the evidence given your hypothesis divided by the probability of my hypothesis divided by the probability of the evidence given your hypothesis. You get that number, and it comes out, and and depending on how it comes out, it either confirms my theory or yours. In that equation, all I'm saying is you are making it your hypothesis such that the probability of the evidence given your hypothesis presumably could predict it more than mine. But in doing so, you're hurting the prior probability by front loading your hypothesis to forcibly predict the data. And you're doing that by adding on ad hoc auxiliary assumptions on top of your theory.
Why would you assume I'm doing that?
Because you went on a 5-minute rant about the specifics of the properties of, what was the name, Clog, and all these other things. And on top of that, he has arbitrary limits, it sounds like.
I don't know why you'd assume arbitrary limits.
Well, is he
I'm
all
just not
powerful?
assuming.
Is he all powerful?
I have no idea. I don't have knowledge of this god, so he may or may not be.
Well, you're the one putting up the hypothesis.
So
Right,
I think
the point
where he's getting
being-
lost, Than, if I want to try to clarify.
Yeah.
So Than's trying to make an argument here is that what you'd expect to see from a godlike figure is all power, because if you don't have all power, you would have these ad hoc or arbitrary limits that you would have to explain.
I don't know why you'd have to assume a god is all powerful. If you read the Bible,
That's not where
it
I'm going
acknowledges
with
the
it,
existence of other gods.
Okay, my mistake.
I agree with I agree with you, John, but that's not where I was going with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I'd have to assume that a god is all powerful. He may or may not be. I don't know how me as just a normal human being would know the limits or power of any particular god. So the only thing in this hypothesis that's assumed is the only quality that I know of Crom, and let's just say I grew up in a society that worshipped Crom and developed this mythos, is that the only thing we know about him is that the only thing he cares about above all else is strength. He hasn't told us about his specific properties. He hasn't told us that he's all powerful.
We don't know anything about Crom except for what one thing you said. What was that one thing?
He cares about strength above all else.
Okay, I'm going to say that doesn't really predict much of anything.
Well, I think it predicts
it doesn't
a
predict
whole lot.
For consciousness, right? It doesn't predict for fine tuning.
Well, it does.
It doesn't predict for.
It would predict for consciousness.
It doesn't predict for a material universe. It doesn't predict.
Just pause you real quick, Dan. Just a quick question. People are asking in TikTok who you are. Do you want me to go Than from Exploring Reality or Than from Inspiring Philosophy?
Oh, you can point them to both. For anybody, can I just say
go ahead. Quick plug.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know me, I'm Than. I originally started a channel called Exploring Reality. I've since moved on from that, and I'm actually joining up with Mike from Inspiring Philosophy full time moving forward. Sub both channels.
Oh, I think I know him. I've debated him before. I actually like him. He's a pretty decent dude.
Mike, and Richard, for all fairness, if you want to plug yourself too, you absolutely can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm Vegan Gains on YouTube. You can look me up. I'm actually streaming right now.
Nice,
awesome.
Yeah, so it would. So a god that cares about strength above all else, it would predict for consciousness because intelligence, grit, moral character, though that is an aspect of strength. It would predict for a material world because the only way to project strength is through, one of the ways is through material means. So the ability to move force, lift heavy objects, destroy your enemies. So it would predict for a material world. It would predict a lot of things. So I'm just wondering why an all-powerful benevolent god would have greater prediction about the reality we see versus a god like Crom.
Yeah, so you're just saying, so you're including consciousness because of like grit and stuff like that. Did you tell me why it would predict for like a material universe or anything like that? Because like within the possibility,
that's a way of projecting strength. So the ability to move a heavy object.
That's one way. That's one way of projecting strength, right?
Yeah.
Well, like within the possibility space, you could have immaterial beings that project strength.
If they're immaterial, they wouldn't be able to move material. So they would only
Or
be able
if they're
to.
immaterial, they could still have strength in some capacities. Yeah.
Yeah, so strength of the mind. But in a material world, you could have both. You could both project strength through your mind. You could also project strength through physical action. So it would predict for both. So again, I'm just wondering why an all-powerful, all-good God would have greater predictive capacity for the world we see versus
Yeah,
a
of
god
course.
like Crom.
I'm just trying to unpack your hypothesis. That's all. Yeah.
Sure.
So I think on one end, I think a perfect being is going to be simpler than a being that is the only thing we know about him is that he cares about strength and that's it.
Just
and the
to
reason why-
clarify, what do you mean by simple?
Yeah. So what I mean by simple here is in the philosophy of science, there's a bunch of debates on how to assess simplicity. Like I'm talking about the principle of parsimony here. I follow along the lines of like people like Richard Swinburne, where I think the simplicity of the hypothesis is going to be like a measure of a few different things. One being like, does this thing have arbitrary limits? So like for instance, when we measure the speed of light, for instance, when we're trying to think about the speed of light, for instance, we originally postulated I think we actually postulated an infinite number, and then we came across data that disconfirmed that number, and then we just kept on updating it as we got across different data. The reason why we postulated an infinite number is because we had no reason to postulate some sort of arbitrary limit on the speed of light. So all I mean by an arbitrary limit is like some sort of quantitative cutoff point in a property
Is
of
that-
something.
I'm like fairly interested in science. I've never really heard of that idea that light was considered infinitely fast.
Yeah, I can find it for you really quick. I could be wrong.
Like
as
I'm
well,
I'm
but, like,
like I'm sure throughout all human culture, there's got to be somebody who thought that. But in terms of like the people who actually were thinking about this, who were scientists and interested in the topic, I'm pretty sure most of them thought that there was some sort of limit to the speed of light. They knew it was very, very fast, but
No,
I don't
it
think
was,
any of them considered it was
so,
infinite.
Danish astronomer Ole Romer was the first one to actually demonstrate light had a finite speed. Before that, it was postulated as infinite.
Do you like what do you mean by infinite? Instantaneous?
No quantitative limit.
Okay.
While you guys are looking that up,
I mean, it doesn't really it doesn't really matter that much.
The whole point I'm trying to make here is like this is just like a standard thing when we're doing hypothesis comparison. Is we assess the simplicity of a hypothesis, and I'm just saying your hypothesis seems to have some arbitrary limits, and it's not really well defined either. You have like the problem of well defined, like you have the problem that your hypothesis lacks a lot of theoretical virtues because it's not very well defined. And a lot of aspects of your hypothesis are inscrutable.
Well, again, I'm not stating whether or not Crom is all powerful. He may very well be.
Yeah,
I don't know how that adds to. I don't know how that adds to simplicity. By the way, like, is the theory of the speed of light any more or less simple, assuming it has no limit to its speed, or there's a finite speed? Because when you're doing complex math,
arbitrary limits tack on a theoretical burden on your hypothesis, lowering its prior probability. That's all I'm saying. Does that make
sense? By virtue of there just being fewer possibilities?
No, by virtue of it being an ad hoc addition to your hypothesis.
Right. Well, I never put a theoretical limit to Crom's strength or power. So we could just go with he's all powerful.
You did put on an ad hoc thing that says he only cares about strength, right? So like,
okay,
like the measurement of the ad
that
hoc
keeps things pretty simple. Whereas you have to look.
It's also ad hoc because all you're doing. Hold on.
Again, it keeps things pretty simple though.
The measurement of how ad hoc a property is going to be.
By the way, you're also ad hoc assuming God is benevolent, all loving.
That's not ad hoc.
That's yeah. So if you'd let me finish, the measurement of how ad hoc something is going to be in proportion to how probable that extra hypothesis or statement is going to be on your base hypothesis. The base hypothesis is a god named Grom, and by God,
Crom, C-R-O-M.
Crom, a god named Crom, whose
You shall
properties
not
we
take
really don't
Crom's
know.
name in
All you're
vain.
saying is some mental state. And so by definition, we don't really have any base properties of your fundamental theory, which means that necessarily it's the case that the probability of just cares about strength being true on the condition Crom exists is near zero, because we don't, or at least inscrutable, right? Like pick your poison. And so it's not a very
Wouldn't
simple
that be true of your theory? He's all so he's all loving, all good. That would be true of your theory.
Yeah. So if you want to cash this out, like I think theism is actually a very simple hypothesis. My fundamental theory is going to be at like fundamental reality. We have a thing that is omnipotent. But I also think omnipotence entails omniscience, because I think the power to think, for instance,
Yeah.
entails being a mind. And then if you take into account like this thesis of motivational internalism, which is this idea that like if that your motivations are brought about by perceived value in things, and so long as you don't have like any sort of weakness, you'll pursue those things. So like in the literature in psychology and philosophy, it's called akrasia, which is just weakness of the will and stuff like that. The basic idea is here, like this being obviously then wouldn't have a weakness of the will since it would be omnipotent, and it wouldn't have weakness of the mind since it's omniscient. And then therefore those two together, given motivational internalism, would entail omnibenevolence. And so like my base theory is just omnipotence. But from there,
Why
it
would that
entails these
entail
other things.
omnibenevolence rather than omnimalevolence?
Why would it entail omnibenevolence over
Malevolence.
malevolence? Yeah. Mainly just because I think of, again, that motivational internalist thesis that I'm talking about. And I also,
I mean, it could easily just I don't see any, like, there's two possibilities: omnibenevolence, omnimalevolence. Or
yeah, if you want to reject motivational internalism, but
I mean,
would,
it could be somewhere in between. I don't know why it would necessarily lead to omnibenevolence.
yeah, because again, of that motivational internalist thesis that is pretty unanimously accepted.
Well, you're gonna have to explain that, because I don't understand why that necessarily leads to
Yeah.
omnibenevolence.
The simplest explanation possible. Agents perceive value, right? And they propagate towards taking actions for positive values, so long as they have the power to pursue those things and don't have weakness either in the mind or power or will or something like that.
Why would we assume that premise?
Does that fit with your experiential reality? Do you pursue things because you find value in them?
Well, I could find value in things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I would act in a benevolent manner.
Yeah, because you have other weaknesses of the mind and of the will and of power.
No, not necessarily.
Not going to have that. You think you have no weaknesses?
Well, guess what?
What's your bench?
I'm not saying I don't have any weaknesses. I'm not saying I don't have any weaknesses. What I'm saying is, if a being has no weaknesses, that doesn't mean they're going to be all good. That could mean that they just don't have any innate preferences either way, and that could very easily be the case.
Well,
if they have no weaknesses, then they have no reason to act upon evil or good.
Can you guys define, both of you, what your definition of good is and what your definition of evil is?
I think it's too basic to define. It's like saying define red.
Okay, well, my definition. So I'm a moral anti-realist. My definition of what is good would be what suits your preferences, and definition of bad or evil would be
if you're doing it from the
internal, not suit your preferences.
If you're doing it from the internal critique, you're trying to find a contradiction in God and being all good, and and being, having evil in the world. So what would your definition of good and evil
Well,
be in this internal critique?
that's kind of one of my issues with moral realists. They basically say there's some sort of stance independent evaluation you can make where good is what good is. It's sort of like something in space that you can find.
So you don't think good or evil have any like ontological properties?
What do you mean by that?
Like it's not something that actually exists. It's just a conceptual idea.
Yeah, it's kind of like whether or not you like pineapple on pizza. Like, is pineapple on pizza good or bad? It entirely depends on who's eating the pizza. You may have your own set of preferences. Good and bad are kind of like that. That's the moral anti-realist perspective. The moral realist perspective would be there. Good is just what good is. It's some sort of objective, stance independent property that is separate from anyone's preference. And it's something that just exists.
Okay.
So you could, like, just to analogize, it would be like a food taste preference realist.
Yeah, I understand. So what would your
regardless
definition?
of what? Yeah, so it would be regardless of who says pineapple
Mhm.
on pizza tastes bad. No, it tastes good.
Yeah,
You're just wrong.
I completely understand. So what would your definition from the internal critique of good be? So to find a contradiction, you have to be able to define what it is.
Good is just what good is. I don't know any other way to explain it. It's kind of
Yeah.
like,
I'm
it's
with-
kind of like,
I'm with Richard here, John. Sorry to cut you off.
yeah, no,
It's Richard, yeah.
it's totally fine.
I'm kind of with him on this one. It's really hard to define some. Like I said, it's kind of like
That's fine.
John,
I don't disagree with any of that. What I'm saying
Oh.
is, to be able to like get a logical contradiction of P and not P, you should be able to define what P is.
No, it's not the problem. So that's not the issue. If we can both agree that there is something that we can agree on that's good and something that we can agree on that's bad or evil, like, that's really all we have to do. And I think we do share fundamentally a lot of the same values. I think we both don't want to see people get killed. I think we both don't want to see children get hurt, stuff like that. So that if we can just agree on that, we don't really have to agree on a definition of good or bad.
So I would disagree, but I don't want to press that. I want to do a couple of super chats and I'll let you guys keep going after that. Skeptical Everything just came in and said that you were waiting. That's fine. Yeterson says, how can you even deduct what evil is without God? I think he's asking you if you want to answer that.
Can before Richard answers that, because I actually, John, you probably don't like me for this, but I don't really like this line of reasoning that theists use in general. And I say that as a Christian. I think you can be an atheist and a moral realist, and I think that there's not an issue there.
I know you do.
What?
I know we disagree on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I already knew that beforehand.
I just want to make sure people aren't going to project what I'm saying onto you. That's all, because I know that some people get uppity about that.
Richard, did you want to? You kind of already did answer that. Did you want to dive more into that?
Yeah. So what is evil without God? So you can believe in evil without being a moral realist, and you can certainly be a moral realist while being an atheist. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. Fundamentally, anything that you perceive as bad, like morally bad, it's just something that goes against your own, personal preferences. When we're talking about morals, we're really just talking about personal preferences. Do you have a preference to see people injured and hurt and suffering, or do you have a preference to see them thriving, happy, doing well? That's really what we're talking about when we're talking about good or bad, or good and evil. And I think there is a distinction between bad and evil. Like saying something mean to somebody might be perceived as bad, but completely destroying somebody's life, you could say, is an act of evil. So evil in an atheist worldview would just be something that's like grossly against your preferences.
Anonymous came in. Love your channel. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. This is not me. It's just him. This guy's boring. Just rep eating. Can we move? And then Jesus is Lord and King.
I can hop off, man. If people are getting bored of this, that's fine.
People are not getting bored of it.
Also, like I said, I was kind of grinding camos on Call of Duty, and then I was told to come up.
Well, no, you offered.
No, I know. And then you guys were yelling at me, and I was like, oh no.
Well,
Anyway,
that's only because you offered.
fair enough.
Yeah, but I think we can wrap up the discussion, and I really appreciate you guys having a respectful conversation. You know, we were both able to talk without screaming, shouting, talking over. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate that. That's hard to, find these days. I've tried having a debate about this with God Logic, and it just turned out being a complete crapshoot.
Really?
Yeah,
He's usually really
that's-
calm.
That's surprising to me. I don't know him personally.
It was a guy that he's partnered with his channel. It's not like the actual God Logic dude. But
it,
yeah, it was a lot of screaming and
Black
yelling.
Doctor? Is that his name?
No, Black Doctor
Might
wouldn't
be.
yell.
He had dreads. I think he had
Oh,
like big long
maybe not so.
dreads. Somebody. But yeah, I'd be totally fine to have maybe pick up this debate another time and maybe just do some studying and reading, and
Yeah,
maybe we can just continue
Richard,
the conversation.
Can I point you to something really quick? I just love your
Yeah,
thoughts
sure.
on this even in the first place. Because I've been doing this kind of stuff and like even talking with professional philosophers on this kind of stuff for a while now. I've developed my own like argument from evil, and so like I'll if you don't care, I'm gonna try to put this in the chat really quick. And if Richard, if you'd watch it and see my opening statement, I'd love to see
Sure.
what your thoughts are. Is that okay with you, John?
Yeah,
Do you want me
post
to
things in the
like
chat.
watch that right now?
Oh no. No.
Okay.
Whenever you got time, and even if you never do, and we never talk again.
Is it in the private chat or just in the comments?
I'm gonna put it in the comments. I'll go to your stream and put it in the comments. Oh wait, never mind.
I got somebody else in the queue.
I'll do it in John's.
Then up to you. I know you want to play COD, but I got someone else in the queue requesting specifically to speak to you. So
I'm tired. I want to go to bed.
that's fine.
What do they
Just
want to
letting
talk
you know.
about? Actually, I want to play COD, but
I
what
don't
do they
know what he
wanna
wants
talk
to
about?
talk. He just said he wants to
Did
talk.
you post it?
yeah, it's in the chat for Big John Steele's YouTube.
Oh, okay.
I
He
didn't
said
want to
that-
go. I didn't want to go into your stream and.
Are you able to post it in the StreamYard?
Oh yeah,
This
yeah.
is the
I'll
private
put it in the
chat.
private chat. You see
He
that?
said he always said he wants to talk about the problem of evil.
Okay, great. I'll watch that and then maybe we can set up a debate later. But before I go, I just have an interesting question to ask you. Let's say if God gave you all of his powers, but you had the same like level of wisdom and everything you have now. Maybe you wouldn't have like godlike wisdom, but you could snap your fingers, make anything happen. Would you intervene in all the acts of evil that are occurring on the world? So if you saw somebody getting killed, you wouldn't. You'd literally sit back and watch it all.
No, because the problem is having all that power without the foreknowledge or wisdom that also comes along with God could lead to foreknown consequences that I'm not aware of.
Okay. What about you?
Yeah, I don't know what I'd do, man. I can't tell you what I would do in that situation because I don't think we have really that deep of access to like the deepest aspects of our psyche to know exactly what would happen, like what would really happen, and what I would really be like in that situation. But
You just make your
not,
gains bigger.
yeah, maybe I would just try to get stronger. I'm not as
I
big
can
as
help
you,
you
bro.
with that, by the way.
What?
I can help you with that.
No,
yeah.
I've coached professional bodybuilders. I don't look
Okay.
like it. In the last 2 years, I went through like 12 surgeries. I
Okay.
lost a bunch of muscle.
That's
Long
messed up.
story. Yeah.
What's your best bench?
My best bench was 405.
Oh, nice.
At 175, sitting around
Damn.
like 14%, and I'm 5'7".
Yeah. Shit, you're strong. My best
Not
was
anymore.
410.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Man.
He
Yeah.
got you by 5 pounds. You just had to one up you.
Yeah,
fam.
I got
They
you
did
just
that
by 5 pounds.
It's all good. I'm yeah, man. No, I'm not that strong anymore though. So
All right. Well, thanks for the chat. I'll watch your video later, and I might get back to you and maybe inspiring philosophy and debate the topic.
Cool, man.
All right. Take
Thanks
care,
for your
dude.
time, man. God bless. Oh, didn't mean I meant to kick him and accidentally kicked you.
I'm trying to figure out if I want to stay on longer.
It's up to you, man. I have no pressure.
thinking
I
about
love
it.
you. I know Modern Atheism. He's a really nice guy. I've talked to him before. He does want to speak to you. Same topic. but you might be drained from that topic now. You're also doing me a favor because if you can't tell, I'm really sick, and so like you talking a lot has really
Oh,
helped.
I thought you were just trying to sound sexy.
No, I'm sick, bro. I'm sick as a dog. That's why I keep leaning off camera. I'm blowing my nose and stuff.
Hot.
That's what I go for.
Yeah. This isn't really enough time, but like we can talk for like 5 minutes, and then I really want to go.
With the
just
other
go.
guy or just me and you? Or you want me to
No,
bring him up?
modern atheism. If that's cool with him, I'll
Yeah.
talk for like 5 minutes, and I just really want to go play
Yeah,
some
yeah.
COD.
I completely understand that, man.
Hi.
Hey, man. Sorry that
Hey, how are you?
like I have time, but I'm also like
It's okay. Yeah, thank you for staying despite being tired. So, I know you from Hispanic philosophy, so I think it will be cool to talk to you.
Mhm.
So there is so there's just one thing you said about a creator being able to look back on his life and deciding that life was worth living despite the suffering.
Mhm.
Alex O'Connor mentioned this in the Jubilee video, and he made a
Yeah.
fun analogy. He said that if I punch you in the face and later I give you $20,000, you will look back at the whole thing and say, yeah, that was okay. I'm glad I got the $20,000. Okay, but why did I have to punch you in the face? There was no need to punch you in the face. I could just I
Yeah.
think you still need to give a reason for the punch in the face. Like you still need suffering to get something to cause a better good.
Yeah. So let me start here. The guy that you watched on there, Tim, him and I actually have kind of are still actually creating our system for approaching the problem of evil. We divert in a few different places, but we have the same approach. That being said, there's actually a mistake Alex made, and I don't blame him. And that's like a really fast-paced conversation, right? Where
Yeah.
it's like things get lost in the weeds super fast there. But the mistake that Alex made when he brought that up is he mistook what Tim was saying as for two things. One is a means ends ethic, and the other was a compensation ethic. So the point of Tim and I's approach here is not to say that the defeat of suffering is the ends, right? So this isn't compensation based. This isn't us saying God's gonna throw you through the ringer, but after that you get heaven with him. Like, yeah, of course, God could have just given you heaven. And that's where the question of like theodicy is going to come in, and where we actually explain like the narrative arc of reality and actually make a prediction of the type of world we live in, right? But the defeat condition is only just kind of setting the rules and conditions of the reality we'll actually inhabit, and the types of suffering that are actually going to be at most just allowed or permitted, but maybe not explained, right? Does that make what I'm trying to make sense here? I'm trying to like
I guess so.
popularize.
Yeah.
Okay, so the defeat condition versus the necessity condition, you're cool with what I'm saying there? We're on the same page.
I guess yes. Okay. Yeah. I can see your point. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So then, as far as my theodicy goes, I kind of just here's the long story short of it. I call it the cosmic story theodicy. I think the most like valuable structure of things in general is going to be like in a narrative form. Humans form narratives of their own lives when they're talking about them. We learn like this kind of stuff. We learn a little bit from. We don't really learn too much from textbooks. The majority of our knowledge that we have actually comes in narrative form or like through mimicking stuff like that. And so my central thesis is like if you treat reality as a big meta narrative, I think the story of reality is going to be the type of story that you actually would expect to see if God exists, because God then is creating a disjunctive creation where we have. You sound like you're philosophically inclined, by the way. That's why I'm kind of using some jargon here. So if that's not me trying to be a jerk. If
Now if he's
I'm not trying to be a Phil bro.
now if he says I don't understand what you're saying, you're going to make him feel silly. You put him in a
I'm gonna
corner
feel
where
like
he
a
has
jerk,
to where he has to pretend to be philosophically sound, even if he's not.
Yeah. So I think God kind of creates an initial world segment, and then from there, reality kind of unfolds under the rules and condition God allows and permits, and kind of sets about. And then from there, like reality itself, including the agents, are co-creators of the story alongside with God. And from there, I think what's the most important part of the aspect of the problem of evil is actually going to be the subjective psychological aspect of it. Because I'm sure you've heard, and I'll pause after this really quick just to kind of give you some time. Because I'm sure you've heard people like make this distinction between like the logical or probabilistic
Yeah.
and the existential emotional
Yeah.
problem of evil.
I agree the logical doesn't work. I think it's obvious.
Oh,
It obviously doesn't work. It's just,
yeah.
yeah.
What I'm trying to say here though is a lot of people like to make the distinction even away from the probabilistic and the existential and emotional aspects of the problem of
Mm.
evil, where I actually think you don't have a logical or emotional problem of evil without the existential emotional problem of evil, because I think the most important thing about this stuff is the people we're talking about. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little passionate here. But like like if John decided to tie me up and start whipping me, right? That like your first compulsion might be, oh, that's bad. But all of a sudden, if you have like this mediating proposition that tells you, like, no, a fan likes it, right?
I can confirm. We were in LA
That
together
changes
for
your
some
judgment
time.
on how to like evaluate
Yeah.
that what's happening on a moral basis, depending on like if you think BDSM is like a sin or something like that, right?
Mhm.
But do you get what I'm trying to poke at here? And
Yeah.
so, I'll pause there. Just tell me what you're thinking.
Just real quick,
Yeah,
super
no,
chat came in from Yeaterson, said $4.99, bro. Please go play COD. We are begging you. This is way too intellectual for us.
No, yeah, I
Sorry.
think I can follow what you say. Yeah, it depends on your value theory and how you like view the whole thing. And by the way, I know you're going to be today on Testify, right? You're going to be streaming with him the
Today,
live.
well, for me,
I mean
tomorrow.
tomorrow. Yeah, for me today. Yeah.
Where are you
Yeah,
from, if you
well,
don't mind me
I was
asking?
planning to call. Yeah. I'm planning to call because I love Testify. I think that's a great channel. It's so funny and the memes and the visuals are so good. You know.
Yeah.
So I'm
Where
hoping
are
I
you?
get the chance to talk tomorrow.
Are you from the Mediterranean at all?
I'm in Germany,
Oh,
but
okay,
I'm from Colombia.
I'm Greek.
So
I'm Greek. I'm Greek.
oh, okay. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. I'm just kind of
Yeah.
curious to see what you think about what I said there. I talked a lot, so I'm sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Well, it's not clear to me what is a world segment. I just I can't follow what is meant by that. You know.
Yeah, all I mean by that is like God, I think here's a simple way to put it. God, I think creates the initial conditions of the universe. But I don't think he kind of creates like this big block of time, for instance, where like everything necessarily comes about and the modal space is closed, right? I
Okay.
think God creates it. It sounds like almost like Molinism, but it's slightly different in its like modal structure. But it's compatible with it too. All I'm saying is God kind of creates an initial world segment, and then like you think about it, instead of God looking prior to creation, looking at world A, B, C, and going, I'm going to create B. Instead, I think God looks at best kinds of worlds he can make and sees like world type A and goes, this is the best kind of world. I'm going to create this initial world segment. But whether it's like A1, A2, A3, A3B, and all the other branches that you could possibly have.
Just so everybody in the chat knows, I disagree with this. I'm not taking that. I'm just saying I personally. So
yeah, if you're a Thomist, I don't know if you'd like this. But yeah. So like whatever it kind of obtains within that possibility space, though, is not going to be out of necessity, and it's not going to be out of some sort of deterministic
Okay.
causes.
Okay.
Does
Sure.
that clear
Yeah.
things up?
Yeah. Maybe yes. There's one other thing. So I do agree that the logical problem of evil doesn't work, like I said. But we were talking about the probabilistic problem of evil, and you say that we have like this square and that we need a competing hypothesis in order to even like present this. But honestly, I'm not sure why. If I say that your hypothesis has a problem or there's something weird about the hypothesis, I'm not sure why I need to present a competing hypothesis. It seems like to me like from a common sense point of view, if I just say your hypothesis has this problem, that's it. I don't need to necessarily present another hypothesis.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're coming from. So
yeah.
That to me just sounds like intuition pumping, though. That's saying like intuitively it feels wrong.
There's a lot of background stuff happening here, and I'm trying to think of how to make this as approachable as I can. Not for what was your name again? I'm so sorry.
Juan. Moran, I think is the
not for your sake, Juan. You seem like you know what you're talking about here. for your audience too, John. I'll start here, and then I guess I can explain. from
Obviously,
there if you
John
need me
doesn't
to.
know what he's talking about.
I said for your audience. No, do you think nobody cares about probability theory, John? Like, so Juan, it depends on how you're approaching this on a probabilistic framework. Because if you're taking like a frequentist approach to kind of having a justified belief, or like saying that some hypothesis is probably true, I can see a case to be made for what you're saying. But if you're going to take a Bayesian approach, which is the approach that I would take, the problem you run into is um, it's going to well, let me also stipulate this, because my claim is that Christianity is the most like probable theory in relation
Okay.
to its mutually exclusive and logically logically exhaustive options, right?
Okay.
And so for like for my claim to be false, or for Christianity to not be the best explanation of reality,
Yeah.
you have to have other options on the table, because even if you were to like theoretically lower the probability space of Christianity on that
Yeah.
square to 30%,
Yes.
well, if it's empty, it's the most
Yeah.
probable theory, right?
Sure. Okay, I
Um,
see. Yeah, okay.
the if you want to have a little, and there's more nuance to that too. Tim and I made a video on his channel, Doxastic Mastery, just a few days ago, that kind of outlines this a little bit more, because there's a fallacy that comes with this too that people do. I would recommend watching that, and then you can contact me through my website, exploring-reality.com, and then shoot me an email if you have a question after that, or just talk to me
Sure.
tomorrow too.
Yeah.
Was that
But I don't know.
helpful?
Well, you said that you. Yeah, that was helpful. But I mean, you said that you were tired and didn't have time, so I'm not sure if I want to like push back
Yeah,
on it.
I when I said I didn't have time, I have time. I
Okay.
want to
Well,
play
So
video
here-
games.
no. But
here's-
here's the thing, Fan. Don't feel guilty about wanting to take time to play video games. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
I do. You know me,
No,
I'm a
you,
workaholic.
but you shouldn't feel guilty. Exactly, because you got a wife, family, you do full-time ministry. So taking time for yourself to focus on games is good for your mental health. And if it's good for your mental health, it's good for us, because then you won't come in here scream at us.
Yeah.
Was
So
that, it was nice meeting you, man.
okay.
Oh, do you have something to say?
Well, I don't know. Here's the thing. For
Well,
example.
I'm kicking him so he can go play video games.
Okay. Yeah.
He's going to answer your questions of Problem Evil better than I can. If you had
Yeah.
something for me, I'm more than happy to try, but it's probably best to wait till tomorrow and you could talk to
Yeah.
him.
No, there was just one last detail. It's a small thing. We were talking about a simple hypothesis being like more likely than a non-simple hypothesis because of some arbitrary things. Like a simple God got a perfect being is simple and more likely, right?
Mhm.
But okay, how does the Trinity come into this? Because it looks like one God is more simple than a Trinitarian God. So I mean, this seems like this will go against the Trinity, maybe this concept.
Yeah, so I know Than's going to have a different answer than me on this one, like 110%, because I hold to divine simplicity. And so when we're talking about this triune God, it's not actually extra parts or anything like that. It'd still be a simple God. It'd still be one God.
Okay.
It wouldn't be multiple. And the reason that a triune God would actually make more sense than just a singular person of God is because of the problem of the one and the many. So the problem of the one and the many basically states that, if you have just one thing by itself, it's incoherent. If you have many things that don't collectively go under one thing, it's incoherent. So So when you have one thing, it's usually defined by many things. If you have many things, it's defined by the one thing. So this is why I point to, like, it's more logical to have a triune God than just a singular simple God. So we have a God that is divinely simple. Again, this is not Than's belief. I'm not speaking on his behalf because I know he disagrees with this. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he does. And so God is divinely simple, and in that divinely simple God, we have three persons. Those persons are just subsisting. It's not extra parts. It's still just as simple as like a singular idea of God.
Okay, but even if it's not like three parts, I mean, I think three persons in one God is still more complex than one person in one God.
Right.
Even if it's not the parts.
Yeah, I agree. So a hypothesis being simpler still has to be coherent. right? So that's where I go into the problem, the
Okay,
one and the
okay,
many.
okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I never really heard that. I will have to read about this to know what exactly this problem or thing means. Okay.
So
Yeah.
the best analogy that I've heard is like, imagine that you have a dictionary, you open it
Okay.
up and there's just one word in there. What would that word
Mm.
mean?
I don't know. It will be a random word.
Yeah, it would mean nothing because you'd have no idea. There'd be no definition.
Uh,
It'd just be a word by itself. Now, if you open,
okay.
yeah,
That's
if you
right.
open
Yeah,
up
yeah,
if you open up the book and it's all the words that have ever been, but none of them collectively join under a word, what do
yeah.
those
Okay.
words mean?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I
Means
see.
nothing.
Okay.
So, but when we open a dictionary, we have a singular word. And
Okay.
then in that singular word, we have the definition, a collective of words that describe what that singular word is. So we have
Yeah.
one thing described by the many. And this is
Mm,
how our universe, it's how everything works. Like I am John, I am one, I am identical to John. So if we're talking about the law of identity, John is
yeah.
John, right? But what John is like it's my essence, it's my nature, it's my mind, it's it's my form, my matter. These are all the things that make up John. So that's the many, right? And so when
Yeah.
we're looking at God, we see this everywhere. So what would you expect to see in our creation? When we look at God, we have one God made up by the three persons. So we have the
Okay.
one defined by the three.
Okay. But isn't the exact number three arbitrary in a way that, for example, strength would have been arbitrary? Like why three or not 2 or 4 or 5? Like when you have exact number three, like any number other than 1 and 0 feels arbitrary in a way.
It
Don't
feels
you think?
arbitrary, but it's
Yeah.
not. It's like saying
Okay.
it's like asking, why does a triangle have three sides?
Okay. Yeah, I
Right?
don't think it's this. I mean, it's like the definition. But if I told you like any given shape, if I came to the triangle from all the shapes, it would be an arbitrary thing. It would be an arbitrary shape. Like if you were to look at, it could have been any shape, and the triangle will be arbitrary among all the shapes. You know what I mean?
Right. So in all the shapes, it could have been a different shape, so it's
Yeah.
arbitrary. But nonetheless, a triangle, if I say three points and three sides, that's the necessary definition of what a triangle
Yes.
is. So
Right.
with God, we just have the necessary definition of God being the three
In
persons.
three.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Being
Ju-
which definition of God says that it's necessary three persons in one
Well,
God?
wait. So you're asking like, why can't it be 4, 5, 6? I don't have
Yeah.
the reason or the
Okay.
mechanism for that. I'm saying just with God, what we have is the necessary being. That
Okay.
necessary being is three persons making up
Okay.
that one essence. I don't have the explanation on why it's not four, and I don't think I need to have that explanation because we're talking about the necessary being, right? It's
Okay.
saying it's the same question. You could say, well, why just one? That could be
Okay.
ad hoc or arbitrary as well. Why one instead
Okay.
of two? Why two
Uh,
instead of 17?
one feels less arbitrary somehow than the other numbers. I don't know.
It is still arbitrary, right? It's still a
Okay.
number. One is still identical to one. Two is still identical to two. So
Okay.
if you're not going to if you're going to say three is arbitrary, but one isn't, that's a little bit of special pleading, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I see what you mean. I think that's good. Okay. I
Fair
think that's
enough.
all. Yeah. That's all for now. Yeah.
All right,
Thank
man.
you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for always
Okay.
being such
Thanks.
a pleasant guy to speak to.
I'm glad. Okay.
God bless.
See you.
And again, that is my viewpoint. I'm not speaking out then. I know he's up here and we were continuing off the conversation, but I just want to be clear. He'll probably have a different viewpoint than me. I want to clarify something I said earlier. Hold on. I agree, more Than and Bert content. So something I said earlier is I said I believe there could possibly be evil in heaven. That's the devil getting at me trying to clarify what I was saying. And everybody's like, oh my God, John said there's evil in heaven. I didn't get a chance to clarify because I wanted to let them continue the conversation. So it's logically possible there could be evil in heaven. Do I think there will be evil in heaven? No, those are two different things. Let me be very clear. It's logically possible it could happen. Do I think it will happen? No. And the reason for this is, where did Satan rebel? Where did he rebel? Bert's my cat. He rebelled in heaven. Was there a war in heaven? Well, if we read Revelation, yes, there's a war in heaven. Are these good things? No, these are evil things. Do I think we will have evil when we get to heaven, when we get to the new paradise, new earth? No, I don't. But I think it's logically possible. It's not because God creates a certain ontological world where that can't exist. I think it's more likely is that we've reached our sanctification where we no longer act in those properties, where we no longer act in ways that are evil, where we no longer sin, we no longer introduce death. I think God will remove certain things, obviously, because we'll be born anew, we won't be able to die, but we'll also be creatures that don't choose to, like, say, kick our friends in the shin. And so therefore we don't have this evil. But it's not the fact that we can't choose it, right? We still could choose to kick our friend in the shin, but we will not choose it because of our new creation or our new nature. So that's what I mean by it's logically possible you could have evil in heaven, but it's not actually in heaven. So that is my clarification. I hope that makes more sense than what people thought I was saying. Oh my God. I really feel like I'm dying. Okay, we got lots of guests. They might not be in here anymore, but as they were chatting away, we had people jumping up in the queue. Oh no, they left. We got some though. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
I'm 33.
What's up, bro?
Hey man, how you doing?
I am dead sick, but I'm trying.
Well, you taking the right types of herbs and stuff like that, bro?
Come on, buddy. Come on, the chat wants to see you.
You got to put that stuff that God made from earth that'll heal you, man. You got the garlics, the turmerics, come on.
Yeah, I take my medicine.
All right, right on. I'm curious on a few things, totally separate from that long conversation that was actually quite enjoyable. There's a long list of miraculous births that actually predate the Jesus birth story. And I'm curious if you've ever dove into those, know about those, have any interest in those.
This is Bert Than.
Huh?
I was talking to Than real quick. This is Bert. He's asking who Bert was.
Oh. I thought you said birth because I asked about miraculous births.
Yeah, so you're basically saying that Jesus is a connection to these other myths, and basically it was stolen, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, and a lot of them actually predate Jesus. So
cool.
Do you think there's
can you give me a contemporary source?
Well, I mean, I can give you the whole list of them if you want. Whether that's
no. I've heard the list and I've heard the arguments, and every time I hear those arguments, I ask just for like a source, like so a document that predates Jesus that has these writings in it, so I can compare the two. And no one's ever given it to me. So what I think has happened, and from my research, is I think this comes from two people who made a documentary years ago. I forget their name, and that information just kind of ran wild. So it's very similar to you've heard that saying, you eat 6 spiders a year. Have you heard that saying?
Yeah, it's not true.
Yeah, it's fake. And it was a college that kind of like put that out to see how fast fake information goes. So these two guys had this idea about Jesus. They say it was stole from Mithra, stole from all these types of things. They put it out there, kind of ran wild. People started writing blog posts about it and things like that. But when you start actually, Zeitgeist, thank you. When you start actually looking for those documents and the information, they're pretty much non-existent, or they come after Jesus.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I would come back when I have the actual sources. I mean, there's Japanese, Native American, Mongolian, and I can go through the Wikipedia, get the sources. I can do that another time.
What I recommend you do is Mike from Inspiring Philosophy has whole playlist on his YouTube where he directly compares the data between these pagan gods and Jesus and these myth stories, and he shows the two documents. So go look it up yourself. Don't just trust IP. And then when you look it up, go watch his videos. And then if you see, hey, yeah, there is these things there, then bring it to me. I'll be more than happy to look it over.
Yeah, no problem. I can dive deeper to get sources and come back to you. And then just a pretty broad type question, just to gauge your opinion, because it's something that disturbs me. But I was curious how your brain processes just this concept, right? So, do you think the Christian God likes the fact that the spread of Christianity, whether it was intentional or not, resulted in many millions of natives dying around the world through the spread of disease? Now, again, it wasn't intentional that missionaries were trying to spread disease, but they did.
Okay, can you back up that claim?
55 million in America, 55 million Native Americans.
Yeah. So I'm just curious if you could back up that claim.
I mean, I just use perplexity. And, there's tons of sources. I could go to each one if I want. American Heritage, ChristianHistoryInstitute.com, so it
Right.
seems to be a fact.
But the thing is, you brought forward again blog posts, right? And that's something I talked about before. I can find a blog post that says anything. So when I'm talking about a source, is like I want a scholar or like a source to the date that backs it up. So that's what I
So
mean.
in order
like
to talk about just the concept, you need a source. You can't just give me an opinion on the concept.
Well, you're asking me to presuppose that's true. I'm not denying it, but if it's not true, then why would I argue for
it's
it?
true. Don't presuppose it's true. Just do the concept. Just think about the concept.
So that's
would that
presupposing
God-
it's true. That's granting it for the sake of argument. And I'm
No,
not,
you
not
can just
willing to do that because if it didn't happen, then I'm inventing a narrative that I
You
don't
don't
need to
think
invent.
that natives or in South America, North America died due to disease being spread from European missionaries? You don't even think that's possible? You need a source to prove that's possible?
I didn't say it's not possible.
Well, it did happen. So you need me to give you a source written by a scholar. That just because that scholar said it happened, then you're going to start to debate it?
The negative commentator comes in 199 says this one is true. Any AP US textbook has it. Fair enough. Anyways, I would like to see a source, something that points me, because this is news to me, right? So if it's true, I want to see it, and then we could break it down and we could say, hey, this is why this happened or could have happened or whatever reason.
Well, I mean,
ultimately, what I'm doing is I'm playing the skeptic, right? Is that you're bringing an argument forward. You're saying I have to believe it and have to hold it to be true, and I'm saying I'm not convinced yet.
It's in history books. I thought it was a common knowledge that it's not even connected to religion. Just the spread, manifest destiny, natives, whether they're in North America, South America,
I believe that Europeans came over and did some things, but you're attributing that to Christianity. That's the part I'm not convinced of.
Well, the driving force of that spread from Europe was to share Christianity. Why do you think
that's the part I'm asking you to prove?
And San Diego and
that's the part that's the part I'm asking you to prove.
Well, it feels like you're running because it's not coming
I'm not running. I'm just literally just asking for the data. You're just saying something as it's a fact, and I'm saying as a skeptic, right? I can be a skeptic. I'm saying I'm not convinced.
It takes the simplest of searching to figure out that that's a fact. Whether you want to use ChatGPT, Perplexity,
did you know
Google,
ChatGPT has been shown to be 54% wrong?
Can you show me that?
Yeah, we can get that up.
I mean, I don't think anyone in this chat would. It's just part of the zeitgeist, if you will, right? I don't know if you like that or not, but we know that disease was spread to natives around the world.
So the study of the Purdue University, a paper found that ChatGPT provides incorrect answers to computer programming questions around 52% of the time, meaning it's wrong more than half the time when answering such questions. Findings were based on analysis of Stack Overflow questions. So this comes from Purdue University.
Wrong, what is the percentage of what are the stats on Google being wrong or Perplexity being wrong?
Google doesn't answer questions. It gives you links to sites.
No, they can give links that aren't correct, or
yeah, it can give links that are incorrect, but that's again, it's not the purpose of Google. It's a search. Google is not something that you go to that answers a question for you. Google is a place that leads you towards specific sites. So if I ask a question, it's going to lead me to a site that's attempting to answer that question. I can go to that site, and that site could actually be wrong. Sure, this is why I said to you that we don't just go to blog posts. Right, we have to go to like a scholarly source or a contemporary source. This is how we look up information. So this is why I'm saying this comes from Purdue University. Now, I don't know how credible that is, but hey, we can look into it if we need to.
Fair enough. So let me just ask you: do you think that over the course of Christian missionaries throughout the, let's say, 1500 to 2000, went to new lands and spread disease? Did that happen?
I don't know.
Come on, John. Of course you know.
Well, how would I know that?
Because you've learned it.
From where?
You learned it
where
in
did I
6th grade.
learn that?
In 8th grade.
I didn't learn that in 8th grade.
Okay, look at all the chats. You're saying, bruh, yes, it did. Yes, it did.
I'm
It
literally
happened.
reading the chat. I don't see bra. Yes, it did. Russ, it did. I can read the
I just
chat
read
out
it.
loud for you. So John
They
is.
did.
So it
John,
says
it didn't. John, it happened. I'm reading it for you.
you're just reading Lawsies, right? So
I'm
I'm
reading the
gonna read.
TikTok
I'm gonna
chat,
read
bro.
each chat. Google
Oh,
gives
you're-
AI answers. Google is a search engine. Computer programming question is different to general
The
curiosity.
TikTok chat is
ChatGPT is
literally
Google.
9 out of 10%. Literally
ChatGPT
9.
is Google. That is being disingenuous. Please don't just trust AI.
Okay.
Bruh, yes, it did. Is there a way that we can see the cue? Yes, it happened. Common sense. Viruses, not religion. They did. John, it didn't. John, it did. No, John literally said this in the news to him. John is Canadian, not American. It did. Viruses are not religious. Also gets many things right. It also says, yes, we did. You attended a school in Canada, bro. I don't know. What is the quest about? So again, the chat is not just saying, yes, it did. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Yes, it did over again. So do you have a
Okay.
source?
John, you will find out for yourself that it's a fact when you decide to find out it's a
So
fact.
you don't have a source. You don't actually.
I'm
you
sitting
haven't
on
actually.
my phone on TikTok. You want me to if I
so
close
you
the
just
app?
you just take
If I close the
information.
app, John,
You just
if I
take
close the app, I can't talk to you. If
you
I
just-
close the app, I can't talk
you
to
just
you.
take information based off of popular consensus.
No, I learned it in my past, John.
In what past?
My past of going to school,
So
of learning.
everything taught in high school is always 100% correct.
No, I just gave you one example.
Okay, so do you have a source? I'm willing to wait. You can close the app and go find a source.
It's interesting to me that you are deciding to just jump to skepticism on such a simple, common
So
fact.
why is it okay?
in
Atheists.
history?
Hold on. Let me ask you a question.
It's a fact.
Let me ask you a question. Why is it atheists are allowed to play skeptic all the time, but the moment a Christian does it, this is something
I'm not an
wrong?
atheist.
What are
I
you?
believe in God. I have a relationship with God. I pray to God every day.
Okay, but my question still stands. Are you saying
But why did you
nobody's
assume
allowed
that I
to,
was an atheist? Why did you assume that I was an atheist?
nobody's allowed to play skepticism?
No, I'm just wondering why you assumed I was an atheist.
Because you're a dick. Anyways, is anybody allowed to assume
John.
skepticism?
Oh my goodness. Are you gonna pray for forgiveness for using the D word?
No. Anyways,
Because
is
you can
anyone
sin all
are
you want,
people
John.
allowed to assume skepticism? Are
John,
people
you can
allowed
sin
to
all
take
you
a
want. All you have to
skeptic?
do is ask for forgiveness, and Jesus will forgive you. How beautiful is that?
So
That's such a beautiful thing. You could go fuck your girlfriend before you get married, but just ask Jesus for forgiveness, John. Ask Jesus. Please ask Jesus
are
for
you
forgiveness.
afraid to answer the question?
No.
Are
I'm
people
just
allowed to be
skeptical of you.
skeptics?
John, you're skeptical with everybody.
Yes, I'm a skeptic.
And so am I.
Okay,
We all
then
are.
provide me a source.
We're all skeptics. I think you should say sorry for calling me the D word.
No, you're being a dick.
And what are you to almost everyone that comes up to you?
A dick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why are you calling me what you are?
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get the contention. What's the contention? I'm a dick. You're a dick. Can we move on?
Well, that's an insult. You got so worked up, you insulted me.
Do I seem like I'm worked up?
Well, you called me a dick, so you got worked up.
Are you that sensitive that me calling you a dick is something you want to talk about for 10 minutes?
No, it just doesn't seem very Christian-like of you, John.
Jesus called people whores and adulterers. He whipped them in a temple, threw in a table, called them liars, called them vipers.
That's disgusting.
So
it's
very
You
Christ-like
that
for me
guy?
to call you a dick. Now, anyways, do you have an argument?
No, it's funny to me that you deny such a simple fact. You can go learn it
All right,
yourself.
so you don't have an argument?
You couldn't argue a very simple, common
All right,
belief
well, I
in
appreciate
humanity.
your time, bro. God bless. Have yourself a great day.
I'll pray for you, John.
Your power, or your praying to Satan has no power over me. All right, moving on to the next person. Oh, this guy was up earlier, and then he had issues with the vocals. Did you get your stuff fixed, bro?
What is that? Yeah, I told you before it was in 325 AD, but you refused to listen.
What
So
was
the Trinity-
325 AD?
The Trinity was first introduced in 325 after divinity.
According to who?
So, according to the Temple of Nicaea.
The Council of Nicaea had nothing to do with the Trinity.
Well, they were the ones that first introduced it into the Trinity. So they tried to
Again, no, they didn't. Right? The Council of Nicaea was going against the Arian heresy. That was the goal of that. And the way that they said the Arian heresy was wrong is because they all already believed in the Trinity. This is why they slapped Arian in the face, because they were going against the Trinity. That's not where it was introduced. It was already known before that. And I already gave you a contemporary source, was Philo of Alexandria, who predated the Nicene Creed, where he talked about the Trinity.
Was that in 320,
No,
381?
no. He was pre-Jesus. He wrote about the Trinity before Jesus.
What did he say about the Trinity?
See if I can pull it up if I still have the document.
You believe Jesus is God or the Son of God?
Both.
Okay, so say where, like, we both know that Jesus.
Hold up, I got it. I got it on a video. I'll just play it for you on my video. Hold on.
All right.
And what did I do with that? Okay. Dan, do you remember the name of that document that you sent me? Oh.
So I got the chance to go on.
And that wasn't the video. Where is it? There it is. Okay, he said, so Philo said, since this is not the actual truth, but is ordered that one may, when speaking, keep close to the truth as possible, the one in the middle is the Father of the universe, who is the sacred scripture is called his proper name. I am that I am. And the beginning on each, and the beings on each side of those are ancient powers, which are always close to the living God, one of which is called his creative power, the other his royal power. And the creative power is God. For it is by this that he made the arrangement of the universe. The royal power is Lord, for it is fitting that the creator should lord it over and govern the creatures.
Okay, so Lord, as in Jesus, right?
No, the Lord here would be the Holy Spirit.
Okay, well, how do we know the Holy Spirit exists?
Right, so you're just going to goalpost shift?
No, but like now you're trying to like.
No, you're goalpost shifting. Your original argument, right, was that the Council of Nicaea came up with the Trinity. Now, I just read you a writing from Philo of Alexandria, which is in Second Temple Judaism time, right? So this would be just roughly about 10, 20 years before Jesus, where he literally talks about the three powers. One of those powers being called God, and the other power being called Lord, and then the middle power being called the Father, who is God. So this is the Trinity, right? This predates Nicaea by almost 400 years.
Well, why didn't? Okay, so they said to baptize in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Right. So you're just are you going to concede that the Council of Nicaea did not come up with the Trinity?
Well, it says
you left the app, my friend.
It says it was first introduced in the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD.
What says that?
Google.
Google says that. What in Google? Google is just a search engine. What does Google say in that? Where does that come from?
And the Council of Constantinople affirmed and further mentioned the doctrine, or they further developed the doctrine in 381 AD. So they started adding on to it to try and explain it.
So affirming the doctrine and understanding the doctrine in the councils does not mean they invented and came up with the doctrine in the councils. You know that, right?
No. Yes, but
you know that, right? So again, I gave you a writing that is Trinitarian, that predates Nicene by 300 years. So how is it that Nicaea came up with the Trinity?
Okay, so maybe he was a prophet, messenger of God, and he was speaking on behalf of God. But when they got to the Council of Nicaea, they started. So
hold on. You're saying that Philo of Alexandria was a prophet of God, and he received a prophecy from God, but he was wrong?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay, so again,
I said
Philo of
Nicaea.
Alexandria, 300, probably 400 years before Jesus, wrote about the Trinity. How did Nicaea come up with the Trinity?
I have no idea. What,
Right.
did Jesus,
so
did
obviously
Jesus,
the Trinity wasn't invented at Nicaea then, was it?
but in the Bible, it's not mentioned that the Trinity existed either.
So again, you're goalpost shifting. You're shifting the goalpost. Every
No,
time,
no, I'm not.
again, the question that the argument, the contention you brought up is the Council of Nicaea invented the Trinity. I'm not even talking about whether or not it's in the Bible. Philo of Alexandria is not in the Bible. Philo of Alexandria talks about the Trinity, probably
So I
again about
ask you-
400 years before Nicaea. So did the Nicene Council invent the Trinity?
No, okay. So who invented the Trinity?
God,
It's not in the
because God
Bible.
is triune.
Jesus never mentioned the Trinity.
Yes, he does in Matthew 28:19.
What does it say?
Go forth and baptize in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Okay, that's like Muslims saying the Shahada. So we say there is
You
no God
special
but
stupid
God.
or a regular stupid?
Muhammad is a prophet and messenger. So that's our baptism. So you have a baptism in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and we also
Okay,
have.
I want you to think about that. How many names?
2.
No. In that verse, Matthew 28:19.
I-
Go forth and
Then-
baptize in how many names?
in 3 names
No. Go forth and baptize in the name.
of the Father
Name.
and the Son.
Name. Hold on. It doesn't say names. It says name. Singular.
Okay. So all right. So if I'm calling out to Jesus, is it different than calling out to the Father?
Yeah, if you're specifically focusing on the person.
Okay. So now they're not the same person, are they?
Okay. If you're going to contend with the Trinity, can you at least know what the Trinity is? The Trinity doesn't state they're the same person.
Yeah, like you know how many Christians I've spoken to?
No Christians say they're the same person because that's a heresy. It's a heresy to say that the Father and the Son are the same person. You're lying.
So what do you believe?
The Father, Son, Holy Spirit, 3 distinct persons sharing in one nature that is God.
So the Father became flesh on earth.
No, the Son became flesh on earth.
It's different from what other Christians are telling me.
No, it's not. You're lying.
Oh, I can show you. No. All right, I'll send you a video of TikTok.
It's a heresy. Now, if you're speaking to some people who are claiming to be Christian, but they're Unitarian, they're not Christians, right? It's a heresy to say this. It's against the church. This is against the councils. You would be treated as an anathema if you made this claim. Everybody in the chat who's a Christian, if for him to say that the Father and Son are the same person, is this a heresy or is this not a heresy?
Okay, so I can send you a bishop that outrightly says to his followers in the church that Jesus is the creator.
Jesus is the creator.
Of what?
Of everything.
So what's the Father's position?
What do you mean? They're the same God.
So, all right, I just asked you that question and you told me no, that's a heresy.
It's a heresy to say they're the same person.
How is he the creator if the Father exists?
Because God created.
Okay, so is it Jesus or the Father?
All of them. Because it's not 3 gods. It's one God, 3 persons.
Okay. So if they're 3 persons, how is Jesus in the Father? In the Bible, Jesus says.
Do you know what a person is? Can you define a person?
Brother, please. The only true Jesus
define a person.
In the Bible,
define a person.
The only true God.
Can you
is
define
the
a person? If you're going to tell me this is a problem and a contradiction, you should be able to define your terms. Can you define a person?
You just told me it's a person is an individual. You just told me it was a heresy to believe that Jesus is God and God is the Jesus. And now
that's not what I said. I never said that. So this is how I know you're lying, because I never said it's a heresy to say that God is Jesus. Because my claim is God is Jesus. Jesus is God. So you need to listen to what I'm saying. Pay attention and focus. This is not Dawa script. You're not debating these on the cuff Christians. That you got to actually listen to the words that I'm saying, my friend. Okay, so pay attention. Pay attention. Put away your Dawa script and actually listen to the words I'm saying. You good to do that?
John, you just changed.
Are you good to do that?
Yes, I will.
Okay, phenomenal.
John,
so now I'm going to redefine my terms, and then you can contend with my terms.
Go ahead.
God is a nature, an essence, In that nature and essence, there are three persons: the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Person, in defined in my viewpoint in Christianity, Orthodox viewpoint of Christianity, is individual substance of a rational kind or subsisting substance of a rational kind. Now, where's the contradiction?
Your word playing now.
What's
The
the wordplay?
contradiction-
What's the wordplay?
Contradiction is 1 minute I told you there's a bishop that is saying to his followers that Jesus.
Listen to me. Listen. I don't give a flying
told me
flip
that.
what a bishop said. Bishop of what? Which
You're
church?
telling me
Which church was he a bishop of?
Eastern Orthodox.
Eastern Orthodox? And what did he say?
He said that Jesus is the creator. Jesus
He is
God.
the creator.
Okay, so
Jesus
what
is
the
God.
Father?
Bro, you were literally straw manning what I said. Did at what point did I say Jesus wasn't God?
Well, I've got one verse from the Bible. Jesus,
Hold on.
Jesus,
What point did I say Jesus wasn't God?
when you say his when I asked you, is Jesus the Father? You told me no.
I didn't
It's a
say
heresy.
Jesus was the Father.
Okay, so how is it the creator if he's not the Father?
Because
the Father is
all
the one.
three persons are the creator, you buffoon.
No, they're not. How can they be all three? How can they? How can
So if you
I-
build a house, you do it by yourself?
No, it doesn't mean like brother.
Oh,
Even
hold
the
on. When
Nazarene,
you build a house, do you do it by yourself?
even the Nazarenes have a
When you
different
build a
viewpoint.
house, do you do it by yourself?
No, well, I can say we
Okay,
built a house.
so you can have multiple persons help building a house? Can you?
Yeah, but
Can
okay,
you
what's
have
your
multiple
argument?
persons make creation then?
But how do you? But okay, but you have no absolutely no way of no way of proving that Jesus was there with God. Besides, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. And then you say that Jesus is the Word of God. But we also was
Are
the
you
Word of God.
goalpost shifting again? Can three
No, we're talking
persons make creation?
Yeah, but the question is
Okay,
whether
so there's
Jesus.
no contradiction in the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit making creation, yes?
No, there is. There is a big
Okay, so then
contradiction.
where's the contradiction if three persons can make creation?
Jesus, when people were asking, oh, good, Jesus was saying to his followers in the Bible that the only true God is the Father.
You're goalpost
Why
shifting
didn't-
again. You're goalpost shifting.
Why
I'm not asking,
John,
we're not
why
even
didn't
there
you-
yet. So focus on the actual topic. Can three persons create creation?
No, as a Muslim, we believe that God created the heavens and the earth before any
Okay,
other being.
so three persons can create a house, right? But three persons
We're
can't
not
create
talking
creation. Where's the symmetry breaker?
John, we're not talking about humans. We're talking
No, we're
about
not
God
talking
here.
about humans. We're talking about logical consistencies and inconsistencies.
He never claimed to be God.
You're
he
goalpost
told us
shifting
that-
again. You're goalpost shifting again.
Okay, all right.
Listen,
Jesus
listen,
never
listen.
said.
I know you Muslims,
John,
you get like a crash course when you become part of Islam on how to do a shuffle, right? But I'm not going to let you shuffle, right? You're going to stay on point. You're going to stay on topic.
in the Bible. All right, we're talking about the Trinity here.
You're
In the
goalpost
Bible,
shifting. You still haven't even conceded the Nicene thing. You've shifted so far off of that you're not even
We'll get to
focused on that. Even though I completely dunked on you about the Nicene thing.
I'll get back to that.
You're not
My
going
point
to
is,
get back to that. You're goalpost shifting. Now, again, can three persons build a house?
if Jesus never claimed to be God,
All right, God
how
bless
come
you, man. I
say-
appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I'm going to run away from this conversation because I'm losing brain cells.
He never claimed to be God.
God bless you. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. There we are. Hello, sir. How are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, I am Daniel Batuli, and I'm 27 years old.
All right, what's up, bro?
Man, nothing much. So, I am a former Christian. I was raised in the church. My whole family's from the church and everything. And yeah, I was brought up listening to the same things that you're articulating, but certainly couldn't deny it that there are things in like the New Testament that are completely opposite or 180 of the whole Old Testament. And because of that, I now practice the Jewish faith. And I would just love your take on some of those things if I ask them. If that's okay.
Of course.
Yeah. So in the
Just real quick, what do you hold to now? Are you atheist?
no. I practice the Jewish faith, Judaism. But
So
I do.
hold on. You've been accepted into Judaism?
Yeah.
So you went to temple, talked to I forget what they're called, that they're heads of temple. They accepted you into Judaism, because that's a really difficult process to do.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical. I'm not
Well,
saying you're a liar. I'm not saying you didn't do it, but I'm saying that's a very extremely, Rabbi, thank you so much. That's an uphill process. That's
oh,
they don't just take people in.
it certainly is an uphill process, but no, I accepted it. I do want to be clear though. After I accepted it, I could not personally accept the fact that that process was not in the Bible at all. I also couldn't accept the Talmud. One thing that the Jewish faith they are upon and
So then
certainly believe
you're
in.
not a Jew.
Well, I believe in the Old Testament.
But
Is
so
the
you're not
only
a
word of
Jew,
God.
because you're rejecting practices in Judaism. You're rejecting the Talmud. You're not a
No,
Jew.
that's not true. There are plenty of Jewish people that I'm friends with and that I know that do not follow the Talmud.
Which book of Torah did you memorize?
I'm sorry?
Which book of the Torah did you memorize?
All five. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers.
You memorized it?
Not all the way, but what's your point here? Are you
Well,
saying so?
I'm
I have a
right now.
question. So
Right now,
the
I'm
process
probing.
that you're,
Hold on. Right now, I'm probing your honesty.
yeah,
That's what I'm doing to see how genuine of a conversation we're going to have. Because
correct.
one of the process of becoming a Jew is that you have to memorize a book of Torah.
I mean, word for word. Obviously, there are some verses that I don't 100%. I'd have to like look over, but no, it's in terms of being accepted in the Jewish faith because I do not accept the Talmud. That has and always is ridiculous to me, and I have plenty of Jewish friends, people that I consider family that agree with me. So I can't accept the fact that I mean you're
Okay.
saying that because
Okay.
I don't.
Just answer me this question. What's a
Yeah.
mikvah?
A mikvah. I'm honestly having a brain fart with that. I'll be completely honest with you. I'm not.
Okay. You're not a Jew.
So if you're saying that, I want to get this abundantly clear. So your argument right now is because I do not accept the Talmud, which is not in the Bible at all.
No, I'm saying that you didn't go through the process to becoming an actual Jew, right? You're proclaiming Judaism. You're saying you follow Judaism, but you have not become, because Judaism is not a religion. It's a culture. Like it's a people group. And so like when you get pulled into that people group, you have to go through their process. You pretty much have to become one of their people, right? Part of their people group. So again, Judaism is not a religion, right? It's again,
It's all
it's
three.
like
It's people. It's culture. It's a religion. It's all
no.
three.
It's almost like a race, right? So
All right.
it's like a specific race, and it's not. I'm not talking about color of skin, right? Because they have wide ranges of color of skin. So when you become a Jew, that's like saying I became African,
All right.
right?
You know what? I'm
Become
obviously not
African.
gonna convince you of this, but
Are you Hebrew Israelite?
no, not at all. No, so I
Okay.
think that's ridiculous. It's a brainless cult.
Okay. Well, fair enough. We can agree on that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I ultimately I do not think you went through the process to become full on Jew. I think you're claiming Judaism, and I think that's kind of where it stops.
All right. Well, can we get to the argument that I'd like to do since I'm clearly not going to convince you on that?
Sure.
All right. So, in the book of Ezekiel, particularly starting with Ezekiel 37 through 48, the Tanakh explicitly states that during the millennial age, that specifically in Ezekiel 45 verse 22, that the Mashiach will offer sacrifices for himself, and there will be sacrifices being given during the millennial age.
Which chapter and verse?
Ezekiel chapter 37 all the way to 48, all in context. The third
Yeah,
temple
I'm
being
not going to
built.
read 3 chapters right
Oh,
now.
I don't need
Do
you
you
to
have a
read it,
specific?
but specifically Ezekiel chapter 45, verse 22. And in context, if you're, oh, we don't know who this David is, Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 25, it specifically says, David, the prince, will be my servant forever. And in context, that is after the third temple is built, verses 40 through 44.
Hold on,
Chapter
slow
40.
down, slow down. You're
Okay.
getting
Yeah,
out.
go ahead.
I'm still looking at this verse.
Yep.
Where the heck is it?
45 verse 22, fellas.
Prophecy isn't really my thing. 45:22.
Yep.
Okay, so what's the contention?
So in Hebrews chapter 10, verse 8, it specifically says that because Jesus died for the sins of those who believe in him, or whatever the case may be, that he was the ultimate sin sacrifices for now and forever.
Mm-hmm.
That verse specifically is a 180 of that. And as we both know, the book of Ezekiel, the prophet Ezekiel, was written several hundred years before the book of Hebrews, and that blatantly contradicts what the book of Ezekiel says.
I don't see a contradiction. Where's the contradiction?
In Ezekiel chapter 45, it says the prince will specifically provide a bull as a sin offering on behalf of himself and all the people of the land. If Jesus in the New Testament was the full and ultimate
Yeah, I don't think this is talking about the time of Jesus. If you just go back to verse 16, all the people of the land must participate in this contribution of the Prince of Israel.
You're correct. So
yeah, so I don't think this is talking
it's
about.
not.
I don't
It's not
I don't think
talking
it's
about.
I don't think it's talking about this time with Jesus.
Yeah, you're right. It's talking about during the millennial age when the third temple is built.
Right. So again, where's the contradiction?
Okay. So has the third temple been built?
No.
Okay, exactly. If Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice now and forever, when he died and forever, why will there be sacrifices during the millennial age? And why will the prince specifically?
Yeah, so I think you're taking a hyperliteralism reading of the text. I think that's the first step, and that's the first
Well,
problem. I don't know. I'm gonna have to restudy Ezekiel because it's been a while since I've been in it, and I'm just trying to take this off of a quick section without reading the whole thing in its context. But you're talking about something that is to come and saying there's a contradiction. We don't know it's going to come.
No, but okay. So when the book of Ezekiel was written, Hashem was talking to him. God was talking to him and said, listen very carefully to what I'm going to tell you. He gave specific instructions on what was going to happen. Ezekiel chapter 40, Hashem starts talking about the new temple being built.
Mm-hmm.
In Ezekiel chapter 41, it talks about what's going to be inside the temple.
Right, but the problem is you're talking about prophecy. Prophecy is never hyperliteral.
Yes, it is.
No, it's definitely not. Can you show me a point where, because I could show you prophecy where it talks about a goat and a ram butting heads over the lands. Can you show me a point where that goat and ram, those giant goats and rams actually butt heads?
So are you saying that in Ezekiel, that temple, the third temple is not going to be built? Is that what you're saying?
I don't. So for example, there's prophecy that says that Elijah is going to return. Yes.
Yes.
Right. Did Elijah actually come back in his physical form?
He hasn't returned yet.
Well, no. What we believe is that he came back in the form of who? John the Baptist.
Well, John the
Baptist. He carried
said,
the spirit of Elijah.
Well, that it.
Yeah, I'm going to get into that then.
Well, he did also say, I forgot which other gospel, but he denied and said I'm not Elijah. John the Baptist specifically said
he had the spirit of Elijah. He wasn't Elijah.
He said
had
in
the spirit of Elijah.
gospel
Yeah.
that he was not Elijah.
What gospel did he say he was not Elijah?
Okay, I'll look it up.
And again, I agree. He's not Elijah. He has the spirit of Elijah. Those are two different things.
Well, in the book of Malachi, it says Elijah specifically will be coming back.
So again, you're taking a hyper literalism reading of prophecies, and you're also assuming that none of these prophecies have any conditions.
Can you show exactly where in Ezekiel it says this is not a hyper literal subscription?
I don't need to show that. All I need to do is show that it's a consistent practice that prophecy is not hyper literal. That like I can see that with Jonah. I can see that with the book of Daniel. Like, do you think do you think Babylon was an actual beast that stood up on two legs? Do you think Greece is literally going to have 4 heads and 4 wings?
Well, it talks. No, I don't, because
Of
it's
course you don't, because it's not hyper
because it
literal, right?
specifically, yes, and it specifically says, Daniel says it was specifically a vision, and that was explained to him by the angel. So yes, it
Yeah, it's
wasn't.
prophecy.
Yeah, but this in Ezekiel, Hashem is giving Ezekiel specific examples on what's going to be inside and outside the temple.
So in the book of Daniel, when
Yeah,
he's walking through the temple and he sees these angels and he sees these gates specifically all pointing out, so you think he's giving like a literal actual things are going to happen? You think he actually had to eat shit, for example?
which verse are you referring to?
Or am I thinking of Ezekiel where he had to actually eat poop?
No, that's I'm not familiar with that Bible verse. If you could show me.
Hold on. It was Malachi. Yeah, God orders Ezekiel. So it's Ezekiel.
Ezekiel,
So Ezekiel, he's ordered to bake bread over poop. You think
where
that's
is that?
literal? Ezekiel 4:12 through 17.
Okay.
Let's pull it up.
Yeah.
And you shall eat the food, wood your barley cake, after you bake it over dried human excrement in the sight of your people.
I certainly not familiar with this. I don't want to take up too much of the chat's time, because I would certainly like to read in context as well and everything. But I mean, if it's literal, I can't argue against it. If God ordained it, there are a bunch of heinous things that happened in the Bible, and they were pretty crazy. So if it's literal, it's literal. I can't deny that. Abraham married his sister Sarah. That was literal. And I'd say we could both agree that's
Yeah,
kind of
so if God
heinous.
commanded, hold on, if God commanded that
Yeah.
he marry his sister,
Yeah,
what would you say then?
God or commanded it. Who am I to go against God?
You think that'd
My
be
opinion
okay,
doesn't
even though
matter.
God already said that you should not marry your sister?
If God says anything, who am I to judge him?
So
If
so
God
so
if
so
God
so
tells me to do,
so your viewpoint is to take everything hyper literal, and if you see contradictions, you say, okay, it's just God says it.
all right. So when God told Abraham to kill Isaac, did he take it literal? Was he going to do it until God
You're
told him not
ignoring
to?
my question. You're ignoring my
Yeah,
question.
yeah. What'd you say?
You're the way that you do hermeneutics is to read everything hyper literally, and if you find any contradictions, you just say, okay, God says it.
So you're saying if God tells me to do something, would I do it? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you're the way you do do you know what hermeneutics is?
Yeah. So wait,
What is hermeneutics?
so obviously not taking something like literal, like
No,
in
that's not
terms.
what hermeneutics is. So do you know what hermeneutics is?
Explain what hermeneutics is.
Hermeneutics is the process of understanding the scripture, understanding who it was written by, why they read it, the topic on what it's written, whether or not it's like poetry, whether it is literalism, whatever type of thing it is, and trying to get it closest to the understanding of the people at the time when they wrote it. So
Okay.
when you read it, you have to apply those hermeneutics and understand where is this coming from and why. Your hermeneutic seems to be read everything at a hyper literal face value, and if you run in any contradiction, just say, okay, God did it.
Obviously, no. Obviously, not everything. I could say the same thing about Revelations. Do you take everything literal in Revelations?
Of course not, because it's apocalyptic
Exactly.
literature.
So when
So
when
just like
John, the writer,
Revelation is is
when
Revelation a
John, the writer of
prophecy?
Revelation, says that
Hold
there's
on,
going
is
to be a
Revelation a
new
prophecy?
temple. Y'all believe it to be? I think
Okay,
it's
so
fading.
you just admitted that earlier you said prophecy is hyperliteral. Now you're saying that prophecy is
No,
can
no,
be
no. I'm
metaphorical
saying
and
I don't
symbolic.
believe the New Testament. Any of the prophecies in the New Testament, they're false prophecies. That's what
So
I
you
believe.
reject the whole New Testament.
I reject the whole New Testament because
Okay,
in the
so
book of Deuteronomy,
you don't
chapter
think
4,
hold
verse
on.
18, it says, "Do not add or command."
Okay, fine. So do you think Jesus Christ died on the cross?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you know that it's not even contended within scholarship whether or not Jesus Christ died on the cross?
That's fine. If,
So you know that
I'm
like
not arguing. I'm not arguing the point if Jesus died on the cross or
well, hold
not.
on. There's a big thing here. There's a big problem
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah. Go
Because
ahead, Joe.
you being, a Jew, so to speak, if Jesus Christ dies on the cross and all the data also suggests he rose from the dead, and you believing that can happen because you believe in
That's not
God.
true. Where's the data that he rose on the cross? Can you show it to me?
So the same data that says he died on the cross is the same data that says he rose from the dead.
Can you show me that data? The same
Matthew, Mark,
argument you
Luke, and
had.
John,
The same argument you
and the
had.
epistles
Wait,
of
wait, wait.
Paul.
That's not true. Just because someone wrote it, that doesn't mean it's true.
I agree with
You
you.
do
I
know that,
agree with
right?
you. So
So
my
just
question for
because
you,
the writer of
I agree with
Matthew
you.
wrote
So
it,
I
that
agree with
doesn't
you.
mean it's true.
I agree with you.
Thank
So
you.
why does all of scholarships think that Jesus Christ died on the cross?
That's not true.
Okay, can you find me any scholar who teaches antiquity that says Jesus Christ didn't die on the
You're
cross?
the one trying to prove to me. You're the one trying to prove to me. You
So
said
I
something, and
can
I'm
give you
saying
names. I can give you names of scholars that say he did. Like for example, John Dominic Crossan, who's an historian, who's not a Christian, says one of the most assured things that we know about Jesus is that he died on the cross.
okay.
Right? We can go to
Yeah.
Gary Habermas,
Then
we can go to Lacona, we can go to Matthew Lynch, we can go to like I got a whole plethora of them that's going to say that he died on the cross. Can you give me a singular scholar?
and you
Hold on. Can you give me a singular scholar that says he didn't?
I don't believe in the okay. Um, I'll give that to you. Let's say Jesus did die on the cross. Other people died on the cross as well. They didn't die for my sins. A
Amen.
man dying on
Okay.
a cross does
Hallelujah.
nothing for
Hallelujah.
my
Oh, great.
sins.
Okay, cool.
But no,
So no.
I have a
You're
question to ask
missing
you.
my
So
point.
you said
You're missing my point. You're missing my
so
point. You're missing my point. You're missing
yeah,
my point.
yeah,
You're missing my point. You're missing my point.
yeah. Go
All
ahead,
right.
brother.
So why do they know that Jesus Christ died on the cross?
Why is that? You tell me.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and Paul's epistles.
Yeah. All right. I'm glad you said that. So you all, as Christians, also believe that
No,
Jesus died on the
I
cross.
gave you atheist scholars too.
Okay. So
So
you believe that Jesus died on the cross and rose after 3 days. That's what y'all believe.
yes,
Why is it that none of the gospels align with that? That he was actually in the grave for 3 days and 3 nights.
they do.
Can you? You know what? I have my notes right here.
Well, you need the gospels to specifically say 3 days and 3 nights.
No. I have
Do
my
all the
notes.
gospels? Do all the
Jesus died
gospels
on
say he
what day did Jesus die?
died on
I,
Friday?
okay, look. I have notes right here that specifically shows in one gospel he didn't die on Friday. He died
So
on Thursday.
you're gonna bring up the Gospel of John, right?
No, I'm
And
showing how there's
no,
contradiction.
you're gonna bring up the Gospel of John. And you're gonna say Jesus died on Thursday in the Gospel of John, and I'm gonna show you that's not a contradiction.
All right.
Is that what you're gonna bring up?
How's that not a contradiction?
I'm gonna show you why it's not a contradiction.
So Jesus died. Wait. So Jesus, you're saying Jesus died when?
He died on Friday,
He Friday what?
the day before Passover.
The day before. So Friday during the day, during the night.
He died probably around 10, 11 o'clock.
So 10, 11 o'clock. So from 10, 11 o'clock,
In the morning.
10 in the morning to Saturday morning. That's one day. 10 Saturday
No,
morning to 10 Sunday morning.
you're changing the contradiction. Your
No, whoa,
goalpost
no.
shifting.
I'm just trying to show you that he wasn't in the grave for 3
He
days and
died
3 nights. Friday morning at 10 o'clock.
Around 10 or 11 a.m. Yes.
Yeah, so 10 a.m. to Saturday at 10 a.m. is what? 20. That's 24 hours, correct?
Right. Do you
Okay,
think?
wait,
hold on. Pause. I just got to ask a clarifying question. Do you think Jews kept time like we kept time?
Nope. The Jewish day starts at night.
So
Yeah,
you
so
agree that they don't keep time like we keep
so
time, right?
so right
Do,
now,
do they mark
so,
days the exact same way we mark
y-
days?
n- can I answer the question?
So did they, basically the question I'm asking, did
Hey,
they
brother,
work? Did they
can I
do
can I
24-hour
answer your
periods like you're
can I
claiming?
can I answer your question? The Jewish day starts at night. So right now, because the Sabbath started, it started at sundown. Sundown to sundown is
So
a whole
where does
day,
it where did you get the idea that the Jewish day started at night?
brother. You know, how about you ask that rabbi that's in your chat? Ask him if I'm lying.
What rabbi?
So you ask anybody in your chat, man. It's so it's
Then
come on, man.
then you would know this. Did the
Whoa,
Jewish
whoa, whoa,
day
wait,
start at night?
but you're saying you're the Greek. You're saying see, this is the argument. You're saying that Jesus died at Friday morning. You're saying that,
Correct.
and he rose Sunday morning.
Correct.
How is that 3 days and 3 nights? Please show me.
Because so you changed the
Walk me
contradiction now.
through it. Walk me
You
through it,
changed the
please.
contradiction. So basically 3 days and 3 nights is just an idiom.
Oh my God.
That's an idiom used in the time.
Explain to me what an idiom is, because this is something new
Okay,
I've never heard before.
so if I say to you that scholars across the board all agree, do you think that they're all standing on a board?
No.
No, right?
Yeah.
If I say it's too hot, if the kitchen's too or sorry, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Do I think you're actually standing in a kitchen?
Absolutely not, of course.
Right. If I say that when you go to do a performance on stage, I say break a leg, do I actually want you to break a leg?
We all know this. So you're
Right.
saying Jesus
So
wasn't being literal.
for the time
Wait,
for the
so you're
no,
saying Jesus wasn't being literal when he said to
no,
his
I'm
disciples.
saying the authors used idioms for their time, knowing that their people, a Jewish audience, remember he didn't write it for us, they wrote it for a Jewish audience, would understand it.
So you're saying that Jesus was not being literal when he said to his disciples,
Again,
as
that's
Jonah
not
was
the
in the
argument I'm
belly of the
making.
beast for
Not the
three
argument
days
I'm.
and
If
three
Jesus
nights.
came back right now and said, if Jesus came back right now and said, hold on, listen, you can scoff and laugh, but you're not actually showing that you got
But no,
something.
but you're
If
not realizing
Jesus
you're
came, let me
avoiding a
ask
lot
you a
of these
question. Let me
questions.
ask you a question.
Yeah, that's the
If
thing.
Jesus, let me ask you a question. Let me
You're
ask you a
avoiding.
question. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. If Jesus came back right now and said, hey, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen, would you see that as a problem?
If I can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Yeah, Jesus said that to me. Like, say I was going through something and he looks at me and says, John, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Would you see that as a problem?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I appreciate your time. God bless. That was starting to hurt. All right. Modern Brain comes at $5. If he's really part of Judaism and thinks the Sabbath started, should he not be on live right now? That's a good point. That's a good point. Because the day starts at night, bro. Actually, I'm gonna bring you back up. I'm gonna ask that question. What are you doing on the live on Sabbath?
Oh yeah. Please. Can you hear me?
What are you doing live on the Sabbath?
Once again, the Talmud specifically states
What are you doing live on the
requirements.
Sabbath, bro?
Bro, can I answer your question?
You're not supposed to. I show you a verse in the Old Testament that says you pick up sticks, you get murdered on the Sabbath. You get stoned to death.
Can I answer your question?
What are you doing live on the
I
Sabbath?
feel like you're really nervous. One thing I've learned in life, man, when somebody won't let you answer the question, you're really nervous because you haven't answered anything.
Bro. I'm not nervous.
Okay, I'll answer.
Trust
your
me,
question.
there's people that know me and know me when I'm nervous. I'm not nervous.
All right, I'll answer your question then. I don't follow the Talmud.
I'm not asking you to follow the Talmud. Do you follow the Old Testament?
I do.
The Old Testament tells you not to work on the Sabbath.
I'm sorry?
The Old Testament tells you not to work on the Sabbath.
I'm not working. I'm having a conversation with you.
Dude, somebody got stoned to death for picking up sticks on the Sabbath.
So me having a conversation with you is
you're coming up and debating scripture.
I'm having a conversation.
Bro is not a Jew. All right, moving on to the next one. I do have diarrhea when I'm nervous. Amen. Lozzie, bro, you got to be on crack if you think I'm bringing you up here, bro. You got to be on the highest form of crack. Oh, Than, I forgot to tell you when you're on live, I actually think you did a way better job there in debate format than previous times I've seen you. I think you're really good at pressuring and staying on topic there. It was great. It was good to see you step up the debate techniques. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
I'm like 17.
All right, bro, appreciate you. Bro, just because I don't, okay, Lozzie, I'll say this to you. Just because I don't want to talk to you because you're literally an asshole doesn't mean I'm scared of you or I don't want to smoke. It just means it's probably not best to have a conversation where I'm going to end up cussing you out. You're going to end up cussing me out. That's what that is. Now, you could call it running, but the reality is you got about the IQ of my toenail. So, and I've posted our debate live. So if people are questioning that, go watch it and see if I'm wrong. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
What's up, man? I'm 23.
What's up, bro?
Yeah, so
And hold on real quick. And you still don't know what an ad hominem is. All right. No, Lozzie, it's not an edited clip. You can go back and watch the full one without any edits on my live. It's still there. And if you want, you can watch the edited one as well, which is not really edited. They just edit out the me searching things up or whatever. All right, sorry, bro. Go ahead.
Nah, you're good, man. Yeah, well, I kind of just wanted a question. I don't want to like take up too much time, but so I've been trying to do like deep dive on the Trinity, and there's some Christians who I'm kind of confused. They don't accept classical logic when it comes to the Trinity, which kind of I don't know. Like, do you accept classical logic?
You playing games? I can hear you clicking your.
No, I swear to God. Wait, you think I'm playing?
No, I think you're playing like a computer game.
Oh, you hear that? Oh, my bad. Yeah. My bad. No, I'll put that down. Yeah. But what was my question? Yeah. So I guess like a clarifying question is like, do you accept like classical logic when it comes to the Trinity?
Yes, I'm a classical theist. I hold classical logic. But I don't think there's any heresy in being like open theist or holding to like different forms of logic.
Yeah. So my question is when it comes to classical logic and the Trinity, like obviously like the law of identity.
Okay, hold on. My live was now sorry, I apologize. My live was now restricted for harassment and bullying. I wonder who reported that.
Bro.
I wonder who reported that. I wonder who reported. I just wonder. I wasn't gonna ban you. I was just gonna mute you for a while, but now, my friend, I have to ban you. Goodbye. Hoping I never see you again.
Does that mean you got to restart or something?
No, I'm not gonna restart now.
Yeah.
Bro. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, you're good, man. Where was I? Yeah, so the law of identity, obviously like X is X as was described. And so I guess like what I'm having like kind of confusement about is when it comes to God being begotten, the Father isn't begotten, but the Son would be, I guess. And when it comes to just like asking like, I don't know if it's like a loaded question, but like when you say like, is God begotten, yes or no? And then, it's kind of like
yeah, God's begotten.
On like excluded middle and identity. So like I'm kind of
okay. So okay. The problem with it. Let me just ask you a quick question right now. You go to sleep, you have a dream, someone's sitting across from you, and you're having a conversation with that someone. Is that someone a different person?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Well, like in the sense in the dream, yeah, but like not in reality, I guess.
Well, what do you mean? What is the difference between? Hold on. Is a dream reality?
No.
Okay, so a dream doesn't exist.
Oh well, it happens in reality, but it's not like reality. Like Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's in reality. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so yeah, dreams are real because that's the definition of
yeah.
reality.
Yeah. Dreams are
Yeah.
real. Yeah.
Okay, so you're sitting across from someone in your dream, you're having a conversation. Is that a different person?
Other than me, yes.
Yeah, it's a different person because you're not really aware what that person's going to say. It seems to be operating on its own individual substance. That seems to be what's happening from your perspective. But is that person separate from you?
No,
No, because that person exists in your mind, right? So if in your mind you had multiple persons all existing, they all exist in your mind, they're all operating, they all seem to be individual persons. It seemed to be have no contradiction if God was doing something similar, but also eternally. So if we had God reflecting on his inward self and he reflects on himself and he envisions himself, that'd be the perfect representation. This would be the Son. So the Son be eternally begotten from the Father because he's the eternal reflection of the Father. He's the image of that God, right? All existing in the mind of God, yet still being distinct. So this doesn't break the law of identity. There's lots of problems with the law of identity in the first place. So
No, yeah. I kind of agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not so like
so numeric
it's not so like concrete as like the ancient Greek philosophers made it to seem.
right.
Yeah.
So numerically, the law of identity works like if one is equal to one, then it cannot be two. And so I agree. There's a problem if you say that the Father and the Son are all equal to one. That creates a problem because they're all equal to one. The
Yeah.
problem with that is that's counting by I forget the counting method. I think it's counting by addition. But if you count by division, right, which is how classical philosophers used to count by division, there's no issue. There's no break of the law of identity. You're just counting in a different method. There's a good paper called "We Do Not Count by Identity." So WWNCIB or whatever the heck.
Do you know who it's by?
I can find out for you.
Yeah, because I'll just like get off and like read it real quick because I don't want to take up. I'm not a Christian. I am a Christian. I'm not an atheist or Muslim, but like yeah.
David Liebsman.
David Leedsman. All right, let me punch him.
Now this is a tough paper to go. It's got like math and stuff in there, and that's the part where I get lost.
Hey man, hey, I'm down for the challenge. Do not have to worry.
But basically shows you the issue with counting by identity, and why we don't do it on a normal day-to-day basis as it is. So we shouldn't do the same thing when we're looking at gauze.
Oh yeah, wait. Okay, that makes sense now. Never mind. Nah, it just clicked. Yeah, I've actually heard that before. Now that I think about it,
I'm Lazy. John muted me and then falsely blocked me because someone else reported him. LOL. I was waiting to join the chat and still. Hey, Lazy, you shouldn't have said that because watch this. 3, 2, 1. Now you're banned here too.
Wow.
He's been following. So just so everybody thinks I'm being mean to this guy, he's been following me for probably a long time. I've given a lot of grace, and he's been in my comments insulting. And we finally got in a screaming match once where I was not very Christ-like. So I decided not to talk to him anymore. And then he still keeps following, still keeps harassing. So I think at this point, I'm just block him. Anyways, did I help you with your question?
Yeah. I'm gonna read this paper up, and I appreciate the insight because I actually remember, the law. You don't count by addition with God. I remember hearing that somewhere, so I'll look into it, man. But I appreciate it.
It was probably Jay Dyer is where you heard it.
Probably, yeah. But actually, yeah. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. God bless.
God bless you too.
Yeah. Bye.
I can feel Fan saying in the back of his mind, just become an open theist, then you have no problem. He is a genuine hater. I really don't know what happened. Okay, what time we got? Got 20 minutes left. You got married? Oh, are you making a joke? You're making a joke. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
32.
What's up, bro?
Just a quick question, man. Not really I'm just curious on thoughts. I started thinking about it recently, but not super deep. I was just wondering, what are your opinions or thoughts on when it comes to the Trinity about the Holy Spirit proceeding from the Father or both the Father and the Son, and just how you came to that conclusion?
Nice try. Nice try. Not answering that question. You're trying to get my denomination. Oh, sorry. Okay, you're not. All right. A lot of people try to figure out my denomination by asking questions like that. I'm not going to answer the question because it would reveal what I kind of align more in denomination wise, and I don't
Fair enough.
share my
That's
denomination.
fine. No
But
disrespect taken, man.
yeah, but what I will say is I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters
I
either
agree.
way. Yeah.
That is that's kind of where I'm falling right now. It's just why I haven't put a ton of deep thought into it. 'Cause I feel like it's one of those arguments that it's not gonna change salvation. So
I agree 100%. I don't think it's that important.
all right, I was just curious. I appreciate it though, man.
No problem. Sorry. God bless. Have yourself a good
No
one.
worries. All right, bud.
Bye. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you? Hello? Knife flipping.
Oh shoot, my bad. I did not mean to come up here.
You're good, bro.
Shoot.
I appreciate you. It happens all the time.
All right, well, hey, God bless. Thank you for everything you do.
God bless. Now I ran out of people in the queue, and I have to bring this guy up. And I'm sorry, chat.
Sweet. Actually, did you block the Jewish guy?
No, I just brought him down.
Oh, you should have asked him how many Torahs there are, because Jews believe there's two Torahs. There's an oral Torah and a written Torah.
He's not a Jew, bro.
I know, but I mean, once you asked him about the cleansing, I think it was, I pretty much got it. But like, so I know Jews, Messianic Jews, but I know Jews that don't even like, they do so like if you look in the New Testament, there's like preparation day, right, the day before Shabbat. They like push their chairs in. They don't touch anything in their house. It's like, bro, you're using all this energy to come argue on TikTok. Do not act like you're Jewish, bro.
Yeah. There's no Jew that's gonna come and debate on the Sabbath,
bro. It was just crazy. But I really enjoy what I mean, that the vegan gangs guy, I've known that dude for over a decade. I'm surprised he's still around doing stuff. Oh yeah, he used to be. I mean, I think he looks like he's more cringe now, or less cringe. I'm sorry, less cringe now. Back in the day, he was like unhinged, bro. He was like,
was he like was he a fedora atheist back in the day?
No, he was just like very he was very edgy, and he was always like, you know, instead of I guess debating religion, he was always debating meat eaters, but it was always like a very an aggressive manner. I mean, it was just like really cringe, but I mean, he's chilled out a lot. I was actually impressed by how chill he was.
I mean, when you got Than up here, you're gonna step back a little bit. Either way, maybe just Than scared him.
I actually really enjoy. I think that was probably one of your best lives, just to hear Than like go. I'm like, man, this is actually nice.
Than, you got to come up more, man. I'm telling you, bro. Anytime you want to come up to this live, I loved it. I loved listening and learning and just not having to yell at Muslims for a little while.
Afghan wrote it.
Afghan wrote it. So just, that's an open invitation for you, my friend, anytime. John should street preach, but he'd call people names.
Yeah, right. Dude, John puts somebody to sleep. No way, bro. They might get intimidated. You look like you're pretty tall. Do you probably like what, 6 feet, 6'2", something like that?
I've shrunk because I had to get my medicals done for my license because I got a class 2, and I used to be 6'2". Now I'm 6'1.5". I shrunk an inch and a half. So I'm still over 6 feet. So but I'm 6'1.5" now.
Must be a Canadian thing.
No, it's actually, I looked it up after because I was like, I was 6'2". What the hell happened? So I looked it up because I'm like, what the hell's going on with me? It's a normal thing that after your age in your 30s, you lose. It doesn't happen. It's usually after your 30s. It could be anywhere from your 30s to your 70s, but you usually about lose an inch or two to your height. It's like a normal thing.
Oh, so it could happen pretty much any time after you hit that 30 mark.
From what I read, I just read it quickly. I could be wrong on that, but yeah.
Oh,
I'm not capping, bro. My old license says 6'2", and I got measured. My new one's gonna say, what is it, 184 centimeters? So however tall that is.
Y'all use the metric system. That's right.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about being in the 51st state, bro?
Yeah, 6 6'0.3". So we round up to 0.5.
Yeah, it also might be your shoes. That's true.
Oh no, it's
You
6.
should've
So
went-
no, yeah, 184 centimeters, 6'1". So I've lost an inch, not an inch and a half. So I'm 6'1" still. At least I got
You don't
that.
think it was your shoes?
No, I took my shoes off.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you sound like you're better. You sound better than when you first started. So that's a silver lining. But yeah, that was really good, man. That was actually really. I think anybody who's because I've set usually when I watch your stream, I'll join. I get annoyed because people are disingenuous and I just dip out. But I've been here the entire time. That was really really good watching. Really, all three of you guys kind of transfer ideas back. But yeah, Vegan Gains has been around for a long time, dude. Like well over a decade. Like I was in high school when that dude was around, like long time ago.
Crazy. So like what? I don't even know how old you are.
I've been in high school for close to 2 decades now.
John sounds 5'11", bro. Why everybody in the chat be coming at my height now? Ramsey, what do you mean my old stuff? What old stuff? Which old stuff,
That's tough,
bro? Yeah. Anybody wants to, we square up. Like, I'm okay. You see it. You see my reach. You see my height. We could do it. Oh, my rap, bro. Get out of here. Get out. Where are you bringing that?
Like I'll go to his how does he only have 310? That's crazy. I thought he'd have more subs.
Who?
Vegan Gains. He only has 310K. But like I said, back in the day, he was. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's right after I got out because no, I'm sorry. He joined. It says he joined YouTube in 2014. I feel like he's been around longer than that. But I mean, that's still what is that? 11 years. I feel like it's been longer, but.
I just want to answer this question real quick. Sergio says, John, I really want an honestly, no. Should a street preacher call people names? I think contextually, name calling, most 99.9% of the time, you probably shouldn't do it. But there's always a time where things can be necessary, right? There's always a certain situation where you could do it. So it's going to be based on the context, right? For example, Jesus called people adulterers and fools. It's calling them stupid whores. Like, it's just different words. So it's not a good thing to say, but there was a context and a reason to say it. Purple belts are the real deal. Practically, I wouldn't go that far, bro. I've yet to beat a black belt in a roll. Did I cuss? When did I cuss? When did I cuss? All right. Anyways, bro, did you have anything to say? Anything else?
Oh no, sorry, guy. I'm looking at this dude's channel. All right, man. Yeah, I'll dip out. God bless, bro. Hope you feel better.
God bless, man. Thank you.
You gonna be live tomorrow or no?
No, it's Saturday. It's the Sabbath.
Well, you celebrate. Are you being a smart ass? Sorry. God bless, bro.
God bless. Either way, I don't go live Saturday though. All right. It's only 9 minutes left of the live anyway, so we could just call it here. We could just hang out for a little bit, just me and you, just chilling. So what's up, guys? How are you? All purple belts are made equally. LOL. There are some in the gym that can school most of the black belt. It depends on the gym. Like if you go to what the heck's his name? Forgetting it all of a sudden. Super famous guy. Wow, I'm forgetting all their names all of a sudden. He trained Gordon Ryan. John Danaher. All right. If you go to John Danaher's gym and you roll with a purple belt, it's probably like rolling with a black belt. If you go to a Gracie Baja gym and you roll with a black belt, it might be like rolling with a purple belt, depending on the Gracie Baja gym. Depends on which one it is. We have 2 gifted purple belts. There's a black belt here, though, under Danaher, and he destroys everyone. Yeah, Danaher is like crazy, bro. Is my wife to this? No, she went to bed a while ago. She got bored of Than. She literally texted me when Than was up, and this is what she said. Hold on, I'm gonna read it to you guys. I go to bed falling asleep. This is dull. Ramsey said he's a higher belt than me. That's fine. He can say that. We'll just have to roll. We'll have to roll, Ramsey. And we'll just see how that goes. See how that goes. John Jones is a white belt. LOL. No, he's not. He's a purple belt. But that also tells you like skill level, because like he's insane. He's one of the best in the world. But he trains mostly no gi, right? You can't get your belt unless you're training gi. So you could be the best jiu-jitsu guy in the world. If you're training no gi, you're not going to have a belt. Now we have to roll again. I'm 100% down, bro. John, could you ever be a Power Ranger if they're real? No, I'm not that good, bro. 10th Planet gives out belts though. Yeah, there's the exceptions to the rule. Most no gi gyms don't. 10th Planet does. It's kind of weird. They never wear it. It's just like, here's your belt. It's like ceremonial. Ramsey said he could beat you in hands tied. I like the boast. I think we should do it, Ramsey. I think we should, next time we're in the gym, we'll tie those hands up and we'll spar. I'm down. Listen, I want to learn. If you're that good, I want to learn. I want to see. what it's like. He said it, not me. He has a black belt in both 10 Planet and gi. Does he? I ignored your super chats. I'm so sorry, bro. Let me go back and look. Debates cured John's cold 199. Thank you so much. I don't know why I missed them. I apologize. If he's really part of Judaism and he thinks the Sabbath started, shouldn't be on live right now. I think we got that one. Jesus Christ is Lord. The main motivation was gold and glory, not God. The one true any AP US Tech books that has. I posted these. I didn't ignore these. I thought I got them. Oh, that was the guy from earlier. I apologize, though. I don't mean to miss those. That's why I like to get on them right away, because then I forget them. But then people say, you don't need to read it right away. Save it for later. I'm not doing that now, because I'll forget them. Christ is Lord. Real question in the Old Testament, it says that you can't eat swine or pork, and the New Testament says it's okay to eat it, but the New Testament, hold on, what's it say? But the New Test also says it's not here to change the previous laws, but that's like changing. No, the laws are brought to completion. Laws weren't changed. The contract was fulfilled. We're under a new contract. That's why Jesus fulfilled the law and the prophets. He didn't abolish the law and the prophets. Those are two different things. No, he has a Burt Reynolds mustache, which is why his name is Burt. Yeah, I'm disappointed Alex is not going to debate at DebateCon too. And I'm a little confused because I don't see why he would not go to that debate. I get like for safety reasons, but he's not a target. He would be celebrated by the Muslims. How crazy was the paperwork for the Jubilee show? It wasn't that bad. It's like a couple pages, not much. The Levitical laws were never written for us. I don't know why people bring up the pork thing so much. True. Any presence in what? What are you talking about? He won't criticize Islam anymore because he doesn't feel safe with it. What about vegan gains? Technically, with the way the Muslims go about violence now, I doubt Alex wouldn't be somehow in danger. I don't think he would. He'd be celebrated because he's refuting Jesus as God. Right? I'm not bringing up any more guests tonight because I'm clocking out here in 2 minutes. I apologize. You have to give me the next one. You get non-denom vibes from me? I mean, fair, but like, I believe you can pray to the saints. How many non-denominationalists believe that? What's my favorite color? Green. And I'm not just saying that because I'm wearing a green shirt. Green is my favorite color. Green and purple. Those are like my two favorite colors. Yeah, but David Wood be the threat or under threat. Yeah, you have to watch it later, bro. I'm Anglican. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Big reveal. That's not a big reveal. I've been saying that for like a year. My favorite Marvel character is the Hulk. No. Some Easter Orthodox. Maybe, maybe not. Catholic. Maybe, maybe not. Why do you guys want to know so bad? That's the thing. It's like every live I go, everybody's always you guys don't pressure inspiring philosophy that much about his denomination. He doesn't share his denomination. But I never see you guys in his queue. What's your denomination? What's your denomination? Yeah, I'm Jehovah's Witness. You got me. No, none of us want to tell you. Listen, I don't want to tell you. Than doesn't want to tell you. Tim doesn't want to tell you. IP doesn't want to tell you. Most Christian YouTubers or TikTokers now don't really want to share their denominations anymore because too many Christians get butthurt about it. It's like the Jubilee video that I did. I seen far too many Christians making videos rebuking the Christians rather than rebuking Alex. Like our infighting, like Christian infighting is ridiculous and we need to stop it. Have I ever debated a Mormon? Not yet. I'm not too studied. I'm a Hebrew Israelite. Maybe. Did I take my Shahada? Not yet. Have I ever talked to Deconstruction Joe? No, I haven't talked to him personally. Am I fasting? No, I'm not fasting right now. I'm on a diet. Does that count? IP is mid. He's not mid, bro. Is the Eucharist valid to me? Yeah, I do believe it's the actual presence of Jesus. What's the mathematical probability of me being a Muslim? Negative 71. How many fedoras do I own? Nothing. PC, 100%. Yeah, IP is peak, bro. IP is peak. Get out of here with that mid. Get out of here with that mid. Oh, I'm starting to lose my voice again. I have these spurts where I'm like, Did I see Jim Bob's Batman stream from last Saturday? No. Afghan wrote it. John is peak. I am not peak. I appreciate the compliment. I think what I do best is I'm entertaining. I am definitely not peak when it comes to apologetics. I'm like a brand new blue belt when it comes to apologetics. Like I got the white belt stuff down. I got a basic idea of what to do, how to hold my own. But I'm like not even one stripe blue belt in apologetics. What about Strickland? Did he win? Were they fighting tonight? Yeah, I'm growing, but I'm still pretty mid. And I appreciate everyone's support, but you got to understand where you're at. How many wives can I have? I don't know. You have to ask my wife. I secretly kissed the Black Stone. Oh, Jake asked about Duplessis versus Strickland. Who do I think is going to win? I don't know, but I hope Strickland wins. Now, I'm not humble. I'm self-deprecating. Those are two different things. Two different things. I already answered your question about the Eucharist. I think it's the actual presence. Who's going to win, Eagles or Chiefs? I don't watch basketball. Does Jesus have descendants today? No. He didn't have sex. I'm the humblest humbled ever humbled, bro. I'm going to get flamed for what one? What am I going to get flamed for? What? I don't watch basketball. Oh, from his cousins, sisters, and brothers. Well, I don't think he had sisters and brothers. Fan is definitely peak. But maybe from his cousins, yeah. I'm not still debating. I'm going to clock off here. It's that time. My white man can't jump. That's true. Black guys can't swim. So, John will ever get vlogs. No one watches vlogs anymore. When's the last time you guys watched a vlog? Also, my vlog is not entertaining. Like, here's what you're going to see me do in the daily life of John, in a vlog of John. John gets out of bed. John walks through the house in his underwear. He does a short workout in the workout room. Takes a shower, eats breakfast, sits here, makes thumbnails, or does studying and writes notes. Does that until it's time to go to the gym. Goes to the gym, teaches a couple kids classes. Depending on the day, might teach an adult class. Come back home, sits here, go live. You already get to see the go live. And go live, chill for about a little bit, go to bed. That's going to be my vlog every day. No one's going to watch that. No one's listen. You'd see that once, you'd be like, I'm bored. My day doesn't change from that. This is what you'd see for a vlog for about 3 hours. No one's watching that, bro. All right, guys, let's do a quick prayer. Our Father is in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us of our debts as we also forgive our debtors. Lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil. Lord, thank you for all that you do and all that you provide. Thank you for the ability to have these conversations. Thank you for such wonderful conversations this evening. Hopefully, Lord, you planted some seeds that ultimately bring people to your kingdom. I ask that you just walk with the people that are listening, be present with them, give them opportunities to share the gospel as well as myself. Correct us when we do things that are wrong, put us back on the right path, ultimately drive us into your arms, Lord. Be patient with us, forgive us of our sins, and give us grace. In Jesus' name, amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. All right, guys, you know what to do. Go follow me on all platforms. Links are in the bio. If you want to support me, support my ministry, you can do so on Patreon, right? It's going to help this channel grow. We have certain goals that I want to do with this channel. I'm hoping to hit in the next 6 months. We are getting closer and closer to those goals every day. So I want to say thank you to everybody who has been giving the support for that. If you can't do the Patreon, obviously there's options like Super Chat and like one-offs. And if you can't do that, that's fine. Just making sure you're watching, clicking the like, sharing, right? Those are big things. So like if you're watching right now and you haven't hit the like button, that like it takes no effort out of your day. You click it and it helps the channel significantly. When you see those ads pop up, don't get mad. Just click the skip ad and just be like, hey, this is helping John's ministry grow. All right, guys, I appreciate you all. All my links are in the bio. If you want to continue having a conversation, we do like a 5-minute little chat over on YouTube. So if you have any more questions, we'll continue over there for the next 5 minutes, but we're going to end it here on TikTok for now. God bless you guys and have yourselves a good night. And again, YouTube links in the bio and all that. You know what's crazy is the moment I got banned for bullying on TikTok. Again, I get banned on TikTok so many times. Got banned for bullying. My view count went on TikTok from 200 people down to like 90. Down to like 90. Like I cannot, like, this is why I'm not making TikTok content anymore. I'm tired of making videos that get taken down. I'm tired of getting live and getting banned and getting my live demoted. It's getting annoying. When did I get banned for bullying? I got about what, half hour ago when I was talking to Lozzie. I was kind of bullying him though. I said he had the IQ the size of my toenail, and that was bullying. I guess someone reported me for bullying. He said it wasn't him. I don't know, but yeah, he's a dick. We should pray for him. Lord, look after Lozzie. Take care of him. Give him health. Give him happiness. Give him wealth. Give him all of his desires. So ultimately, he can know none of it will fulfill him until he has you, and then ultimately bring him into your kingdom, into your grace. In Jesus' name, amen. Yeah. The TikTok is not a place I want to be anymore. It's a necessary tool, and I'm using it, but I really want to grow here on YouTube, and so that's where my focus has been. Because YouTube allows you some freedoms. You can say certain things. You can get a little bit more aggressive with people. You have more freedom of speech on YouTube. So this is where I want to be. John will pray for you. You want me to pray for you? Lord, Atego. Lord, look out for Atego. Ultimately, bring him into your kingdom. Bring him into your grace. Walk with him and just be present with him. But bring him to the truth of who you are. In Jesus' name, amen. I got you, bro. Yeah, you can be more spicy on YouTube. What's the longest I've grown my beard? About here? No, probably about here. It's about this longest I got it. Yeah, it was way too long. Just so you guys know. Oh, you guys can't see him in the chat because he's talking on Twitch. But this guy here, he's on Twitch. He's like an IRL friend. So you're a pastor and you watch me religiously? I hope you do better pastoring than I do. Yeah, don't pastor the way I pastor because I'm not a pastor. But I appreciate that, bro. Yeah, it was a long beard. It was huge. It did not look good. My wife will not let me have that back. By any means. By any means. What do you mean by best fruit? 100,000 subscribers by 2026? No, sooner than that. No, I want 100,000 subscribers like in 6 months. Full-time job coming soon? Like, am I looking for a full-time job or are you talking about this becoming the full-time job? No, not by tomorrow. I think because here's the thing. Growth on social media, it's like it's a chain effect. If you get like your first 1,000 is the hardest, right? And then 2,000 is a little harder than 1,000, or a little easier. Then 4,000 is a little easier than 2,000, and so you have this like growth, right? The more you get, the easier it gets to grow. So I'm hoping 100,000 by the summer. That's the goal. If we don't hit it, that's fine. But we got to have high goals. David comes in with the $5. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. I'm not doing a vlog channel, bro. Vegan Gates has 300K. He was just on John's channel for like an hour. Yeah, he's a nice guy. I didn't know he was that big of a name though. So, and we've had some good growth, right? We were at 2 months ago, we were at 12,000, and I think we're at 17,000 now subscribers. So, yeah, I think if we kind of keep that kind of growth, maybe I should put better expectations. Maybe I should say 50,000 by the summer, 100,000 maybe by 2026. Maybe you're right, 100,000 by 2026. Group parlay 100K in 6 months. Hey, appreciate you, bro. $1.99. 17.3 to be exact. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. I think I got to make some changes. There's a couple people I need to hire on to get that growth. And I'm trying to look at that. I need to like hire a strategist and somebody to help me with thumbnails. Well, once I can do that, then I think we'll have a lot more growth. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Networking always helps too, right? So that's why, I actually got an email God Logic back. I keep forgetting to do it. That's another reason I got to get to the point where I can hire Abby because I'm so bad at responding to emails and messages. thumbnails and then vids plus titles for real. Yeah, all that stuff is part of your packaging, right? Like I got a group of friends that I work with on the side. So like I'm in a Discord with a group of like YouTubers who are all trying to like grow on YouTube and things like that. And these are all things that I've learned from them. Is like your packaging, like you can't just come up and yell at people. That's not good enough. You got to have like a good thumbnail, and you got to have a good title, and you got to have like good pacing, and you got to have like the proper connections, and you got to have all these things if you want real growth. We'll get into the Saints another day. I don't really have the mental fortitude to get into all of that right now. Abby converted. She didn't convert me. She had nothing to do with my conversion. As much as people think that she was the reason I converted, it's not even remote close. Remember that guy that said you got ate up by Alex O'Connor? Lots of people said I got ate by Alex O'Connor. John, if a cow laughed, will milk come out of his nose? Probably. When's my roasting ceremony? You want to get roasted? What kind of level of roasting do you want? Like, I can be pretty harsh in my roasting. Where did I meet my wife? I met her at the gym. So did we get married before or after I converted? John, if Japan is 13 hours ahead of us, why didn't they warn us about 9/11? Bro, get out of here. He wears his belt higher? What? Cows don't drink milk. What are you guys going on? You got married at... No, you didn't get married at the gym. Okay, yeah, a lot of people have trouble finding my testimony videos, so I made it into a playlist called My Testimony. So now you can find them. All right, guys, you guys are not even asking me real questions anymore. So with that being said, I'm gonna leave. God bless.